wise man once said, if one does as God does enough times, he becomes as God is.
Who said that?
Hannibal Lecter.
Okay.
And a Manhunter.
Okay.
Is that actually from Manhunter?
Yeah.
The fact that I don't know that and you do is
So
upsetting.
what I want to know is, do you think God recorded a podcast?
No.
What?
No?
What
Absolutely
kind of a jump
not.
is that?
What do you mean?
I
I
don't
just
think that was a
wanna- if
joke. I think he
we-
was asking.
If we are doing as God does right now,
We're not.
oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a god? Have you been watching these movies?
That's why I asked. I was like, what are you talking about, man?
It'd be a little fun for a bit, and then I guess if you're
There's
God,
a rise and fall, sure.
no,
Hey,
Classic.
I would just relinquish my power. I'd go, Martin, you go ahead. You got
Men
now.
and women are not meant to be gods. We're meant to be humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's give Marty a shot. See what he would do.
If he was God?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
Well, we do sort of give him an inadvertent
Come
shot
on,
by
Frank,
replacing
get
him.
into it. Grind those gears. Be a person. Come on.
What we're talking
Say some
about.
words.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. What are we ever talking about?
Good point.
Cinema. It's the Chronic Canon. We do what we want here.
Yeah, and I'm
also,
Frank.
thanks for listening to the Chronic Canon. Oh, shit. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jesse.
It's been a month.
Been a month.
It's been a month.
Is that a song?
It's been a while. By Creed.
You should have just said it's been a while.
Yeah.
No, it's been a month.
Oh my God. It's been a month since we recorded. You gotta dust off the gears. It's okay, guys. Take a
I
breath.
believe I dust my broom. That song's in The Wolf of Wall Street later.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, at least it's relevant somehow.
Elmore James.
You know what else is in the Wolf of Wall Street?
What?
Crack.
And Leonardo DiCaprio.
And Quaaludes.
And Jonah Hill. The real reason that we love that movie at the end of the day.
To be completely honest, I agree.
I mean, I do really,
Especially after going through all
really
these
love
movies, like,
Jonah
whew,
Hill.
Jesus Christ.
He's Pesci. He's taken on the Pesci like energy,
Yeah.
and but we're not there yet.
Like, okay, now that we've really gotten into the trenches with Sassy, because this is movie number 19?
Yes,
The Aviator?
Sir. Yes, sir.
2004?
Which is what we're doing today.
Yes.
That is the movie we'll be talking about in more detail. But for now, I think it's ridiculous that so many people were like, Scorsese is doing the same thing with the Irishman he's always done before. But then all of a sudden, The
Yes,
Wolf of
as
Wall
everybody
Street
does.
comes out, and everyone's like, oh, wow, look at him, reinvigorating himself with a fresh energy. Kanye West is in the trailer. Wah! It's like, okay, he's literally doing the exact same thing he's done so many times.
Have never, says someone who's seen 18 Sessies so far,
19.
19 Sessies so far, I have never seen anybody but Jordan Belfort do cocaine out of someone's ass.
Then
Nor
you've
has-
seen 20. No, you've seen 21 Sassies so far.
19 up to this
The current
point.
juncture, yes.
And
21 total.
never have I seen a movie ever open with someone doing cocaine out of anyone's butt.
Well, we'll talk more about the cocaine and the butts a few episodes from now. But for
Yeah.
now,
Cocaine butt.
we'll talk about a similar Jordan Belfort type guy.
Kind of.
He's
f-
for most of this movie, I was like, this is the Wolf of Wall Street, but with the complete antithesis to Jordan Belfort in the Belfort role. Like somebody who should not be like in the
No.
world he's in the world he's in. Belfort is like, if he wasn't made for that world, he made himself for that world.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's like the good
He
fellas.
adjusted.
That's the casino.
Yeah.
The
And I'm sure
is a
Howard
little
Hughes like
different.
loves the world that he's in.
Yes.
There he is. Howie.
I hate
420,
I could
baby.
hear that. I don't even have headphones on. I could hear it from both of yours. Holy
I just make
shit.
sure
I
to
didn't
crank
even
it
register
so
that
it-
you didn't have headphones on, but you still went like,
So on
It
that
was
note, will
so
someone
loud.
pass a bowl or something like that? Let's just get something back in roto. Let's
Too
take.
high.
Hey, this is the Aviator. This isn't high enough.
Yeah, we get
Howard
real
Hughes want
high.
us to go higher.
Yeah,
okay,
baby,
literally
flying
and
planes.
figuratively. Okay,
This is a wait. We didn't do any of it. We're the Crack Cannon.
this is a spoiler-filled pot. What the fuck?
come on.
How?
Who?
Leave it in. Keep it double it. Turn into a trap beat.
Just so everyone knows, Jesse is responding to that person saying, I hate you. You are the worst. And they're out of his life now.
They're
Correct.
gone.
Huh?
They're gone.
From this earth?
Yep.
Because they're flying
They're flying away.
with Howard Hughes.
Now, this movie actually,
let's slow down Subaru.
the movie we're talking about, Aviator, has one of like the best musical moments that I've ever witnessed in a Martin Scorsese movie. There's a part, and I won't get too deep into it because we're gonna talk about it later. But there is a part where fucking Howard Hughes is in the plane and he's testing out this new plane, and he's got his little like foreign partner next to him who teaches him like about the wind and stuff, and then he just looks at him and he goes. And then like a little bit of music starts to play, and then it's we're soaring, flying, and then the plane starts to take off. There's not a star in heaven that we can reach. And then
I'm gonna quit this podcast.
Why?
I'm done.
It would have been perfect.
Would it?
You set that up with this is one of my favorite musical moments in the movie.
We're the Chronic Canon. Hello, we're a movie podcast. Spoiler filled. We spoil everything. Okay, if you've never seen a movie, don't listen anymore.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I feel this is too chaotic for me.
Bambi's mom dies.
Yeah, sure does.
Doesn't that happen
That's
in
the
the
opening
beginning?
scene. That's
Yeah.
not really a spoiler.
We're live in our ears, not in yours.
We're talking movies and smoking weed. Nope.
No,
that's
smoking
what
movies, talking weed.
Jesus.
Somebody else do it.
And if you don't like heat, get the fuck out of here.
You gotta go.
It's okay if you've never seen it.
It's all right. You can stay. You just if you actively dislike it, you gotta get the fuck out.
It's not allowed.
Never again.
Because you gotta know that it's okay to apologize if the chicken got a little overcooked. All right, there it is.
I might be stoned on grass and Prozac. But you gotta get the fuck out of here if you don't like heat.
We're like two ships sailing in the night, lost or whatever the fuck she says.
Me.
So
I'm a fiend.
why didn't Bosco take you home?
This is the most relevant Michael Mann should have ever been on this podcast so far.
Absolutely, it should be because
Honestly.
he is involved in the production of The Aviator
He was going
as
to
a
make
producer. Well, how long was he slated to be the guy?
it. Looks like for probably like 3-4 years.
And it was this specific production too, because there have been
Correct.
plenty of other Howard Hughes productions that have gone into like the works, but never came to fruition.
Yeah,
Lots of people have tried to make this movie. De Palma's tried to make this movie. Nolan's tried to make this
Warren
movie.
Beatty.
Warren Beatty tried,
And
to
then
make
he
this movie.
eventually did make it.
Oh
Rules
yeah,
don't
rules
apply.
don't apply. That's
I
right.
know. I literally forgot that movie existed. I
That
was
fucking
reading.
movie's so weird. What a weird outlier, just amidst all the stuff that was
Just
coming out.
But
At the time.
it's like
well, who was the
different
guy
than-
in that? The dude from
Alden,
Alden Einrich. That's how you pronounce his name.
It's different than The Aviator, though, right?
Way
It
different,
probably
way different.
takes over his whole life as
Well,
opposed to just
It
the
seems
trunk.
like
man.
another movie where Howard Hughes is in the background, as opposed
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
front. Yeah. Okay.
But another
Like Melvin and Howard, the Denny movie from the 80s, right?
correct.
Yes.
I think. I mean, I've never seen it, but from what I understand,
Yeah.
he's not
A main player.
mhm.
Well, he is a main player. He's just not.
Spielberg apparently in 1990
Oh,
had
that's
it for a
right.
minute.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of people. But Scorsese's the boy who made it. Michael Mann, Mikey, our boy, our heat god.
Our heatonist. The true
He's one of the
heatonist.
gods of this earth or something that you were saying earlier. I was trying to make a callback. I don't remember what nonsense you were saying.
I
We
would
medita-
not
we
let-
meditate
I
to
would-
Michael Mann. Our
no,
ohm
I would
is
not give Michael
man.
Mann godly powers. I'd wake up and everything would just be like fucked up.
That's true.
He'd be like,
No, everybody be working chaotically.
I don't think Michael Mann can exude energy that intense, like through his voice.
You know what Michael
Be like,
Mann does real well?
What?
He films vehicles very well.
He does.
Vehicles in motion.
He does film vehicles
You know,
in motion.
you know
very
what?
well.
This movie has a lot of
Vehicles in motion.
correct.
As in
Specifically,
planes.
specifically planes.
Yeah.
There's some car stuff.
Yeah.
There's that one scene where they're driving. She's like, "An old jalopy."
Oh,
That's
that's right.
funniest
The
fucking
Katharine
thing.
Hepburn
I don't
scene.
even remember what she was saying, but she used the word jalopy, and I think that shit's literally hilarious.
She used a lot of words that I want to incorporate into my vocabulary.
And she
now.
literally talks like this the whole time.
she did great. She did
Howie.
amazing.
Yeah, she does pretty amazing. But lots of planes in this movie. Michael Mann has lots of cars, planes, and boats. He's
Yeah.
all over the place.
Go fast boats.
Lots of go fast boats.
So throw on trains with the three aforementioned. What do you guys think's the best vehicle for cinema? What do you think creates the most,
I mean, it's
compelling or
the car,
good?
right? Is there
So
really an
what I will
argument?
say is like I think planes are boring. I don't think planes are very dramatic unless the
Okay.
person is operating them themselves.
Have you seen Top Gun?
Yes. And
Then
what did
you-
I just?
then-
And
then
what did
you-
what did I just say?
I mean, I heard what you just said. I'm just saying, like,
unless they're operating them themselves. Unless-
You're talking about like there's not a stunt person.
like no, I mean like there's not like as a mode of travel.
I see. Not somebody just sitting on a plane.
or getting on a plane or going
The character
to
is
an
the
airport.
pilot.
Yeah, like
Okay,
that's
okay.
more interesting. 'Cause I
Okay.
feel like I'm a little
Okay.
bit more involved. Obviously, with the car or a boat, I feel like boats are more dramatic in terms of like cinema, but I do think that is directly linked to my fear.
Oh,
Of the water?
I was laughing because all I just started picturing was my.
Are you afraid of boats or the water?
It's just funny. Which is it? Boats or water?
Water, but where else are you gonna use a boat?
So indirectly, you're afraid of boats.
That's what I meant. Like,
Okay.
Well, every time I'm on a boat, I'm afraid because I'm in the water.
I get it. Yeah. Main fear
you're
water.
on the
byproduct
water.
boat.
You're on the water.
That's what he's saying. That scares him. You could go down and then you're in the water. Train wreck.
No one's ever asked. And for some reason, I felt so ashamed.
Well, dude, I
Are
don't
you
know the
afraid
way
of
that,
boats or are you afraid of water?
the way that you were
bitch?
framing it. It sounded like specifically boat centric, and I was like, "What happened on a boat, man? What's the story?"
Spill it live in
You're
our
safe
ears.
here. Yeah. We'll cut it out or we'll keep it in double.
Keep it, double it, 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 keep it, double it.
Fuck.
Okay. So planes.
Planes are boring. Boats are more dramatic.
Boats and hoes.
Keep running it down. We'll hear all your
And
opinions.
then I think cars are interesting because I feel like you're open to more like cars can be more story driven. It feels like they're more direct.
No
And-
pun intended.
What about trains? Train. What about the train?
Keep that train rolling.
I've only ever been on a train like in the subway.
In the movies. In the movies. I don't give a fuck about your train
So like
experience.
it's hard to relate. Every train, I don't know. It's kind of the same as planes. It's just like, all right,
Yeah, you're done. Jesse,
boring.
turn.
All I can think about is Steve Martin and John Candy and John Hughes.
Don't they
Right
do
now.
all of them?
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
So, which wins in that movie? What parts are the most interesting in the movie? Story-wise and visually.
That's a
You were only
tough one.
talking story-wise, Brandon.
If we're talking specifically
What about
planes,
vision?
trains, and automobiles,
Let's go. Let's start there.
it's probably all the car stuff.
Okay.
Because it's the most intimate. It's
Okay.
the most like with the characters. Like whereas on a plane you're with a bunch of people, which in some cases can be interesting because whole movies are based around that.
Snakes
Red
on a
Eye,
plane.
nonstop, snakes on a plane.
Dope.
But they require like a Hawksian sort of community element where you have to get
Mm-hmm.
to know a bunch of different characters, which limits your time. Whereas I think you have a bit more of an opportunity to get to know a character, either when it's just them, lock, drive, or when it's two people, planes, trains, and automobiles,
Mhm.
or well, I guess Inside Llewyn Davis is 3 technically,
I
but
was
the
gonna
one
say
dude doesn't talk a lot.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction,
Got
good
some
example.
Good stuff in cars.
But yeah, and then on top of it, there's car chases. There's slow, meditative, like road trips.
road
There's
trip
the
movies.
detective following another person. It's just basically a faster mode of walking.
Okay, story-wise, indisputably, cars are the best because you have the most to go.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere
Right.
in our world where there's story taking
And I
place.
mean, it's also easiest to film. It's on the ground.
right. So visually,
And
fine.
you can
let's
control
remove,
your own car. You can own a car. You can't own a train.
Let's remove cars from the equation
Okay.
because it seems too obvious now.
Then probably
Not just story. What about visually interesting?
trains?
When I meant dramatic, I guess I meant visually appealing when I said boats, just because.
Well,
like,
trains or boats.
You can do that. You can do
Good
it. You
point.
can do a lot with that shit. I don't know. I feel like you will never be able. Like, I mean, maybe now more modernly we'll be able to capture the majesty of planes, but like, I don't think you're ever gonna be able to like film like a dogfight right and film like
Wind
you
rises.
know. Yeah, they did it
all
great
the Star Wars
because they
Hey, I
just-
mentioned Top Gun.
because they can just draw it on and paste it in there.
Dunkirk.
But that's like different.
Dunkirk. Actually, the planes are the weakest part for me.
There you go.
I know that's a bad example though. Example.
Top Gun is the perfect example.
Yeah.
We're gonna start incorporating it into the
Oh,
vocabulary, just like
no.
jalopy.
Jalopy. Yeah, I guess I don't know. This movie being Aviator really makes me want to find a way to make planes win the argument because this movie does them so fucking good. But it doesn't.
It breaks down the mechanics of why planes work in movies a couple times. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I think that helped me. Be
Yeah.
like this is dope. But I agree. I think cars are obviously number one.
But then you
And probably
think
boats
about this also.
because boats have more freedom like a car.
Yeah,
than
but
a
I
train does.
But I
Train's
also
on a
think
track.
Brandon inherently stated something with the idea that you're on the water no matter what when you're on a boat, and under
But
the
the water's
water is always
unknown.
unknown.
Yeah.
So there's always some trepidatious,
So-
lingering idea in the murky waters.
So Chronic Canon official ranking for automotive
automotive
vehicle.
travel.
Number 4, airplanes. Number 3, trains. Number 2, boats. And number 1, a good old car.
Make sure and like each of our individual versions of these lists on Letterboxd.
Yes, please. Or email us yours at thechroniccanon@gmail.com.
Or you can follow us on Twitter and direct message us there at Chronic Can.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
yeah.
Definitely
realized
said
we
it
didn't.
that time.
Yeah, you did. Fuck, man. All right, cool. Good stuff. But today's
did it.
movie makes a good argument for planes, I
It
think.
does- well, I think
Yes.
that it takes Sassy to a new realm of
First
filmmaking.
live
too.
action plane centric movie that wasn't focused on fighting. That I was like, I love this.
Is this Sassy's biggest movie thus far?
Yes.
Like most expansive.
both. I'm
Well, is
pretty
it
sure.
actually his most? Let's just fuck it. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the budget right
what
out
do you
the
mean
gate.
biggest? Like, as
Budget.
in like most popular?
Hey, if you don't listen to us normally, and this is your first time listening, first of
Hello.
all, welcome, hello.
Hello.
Normally we break down the budget towards the end, but I'm curious at the front because this movie's all about big money, baby. So I want
is
to know
about
how
big
much
money.
money
It's all
was
about
involved.
throwing bands.
You know, I should have started keeping a list. I'm going to go back and do it of all the budgets and box offices thus far because I can't remember even like last week's. I had to re-Google it
Oh,
if
yeah.
this was bigger than Gangs of New York, and I'll get there in a second. But Aviator, 2004, budget of $110 million, which today, still somehow inflation that crazy in 16 years is 150.8. We're down to 37% increase. Still 37%. Fucking nuts. So $110 million, and then it made 213.7 at the time, which today is 293.1.
You were saying 110 million today, or at
No,
the time?
at the time,
Which is inflated.
150.8 today.
Okay, well think about this. Killer of the Flower Moon is like
I know it's it's
$200 million
almost double.
dollars. Irishman was like the same budget as Aviator,
No,
150 million.
more. Oh, I guess
If
with
you're talking about
inflation.
today's money.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're right. And just something I found, I'm gonna read. The Aviator ended up being more expensive than Gangs of New York, despite Scorsese's predictions that it would cost less. Scorsese says that he never seems able to stick to the budgets he puts down on paper. He told Time Out magazine, "I thought The Aviator would be smaller, and it turned out that it's maybe as big, maybe bigger than Gangs. But you think, oh, I can do this. You gloss over some of the most difficult aspects until you get on the set, you get into pre-production. Then you think, oh my, this will take more planning than I thought."
Oh yeah.
he just
I just imagine him walking on set first night. Fuck.
yeah,
Scorsese, the eternal fucking struggle. that-
literally being Howard Hughes. Like, think of
I
those
mean,
early
we said that from the
scenes.
jump, man. And even when he was a kid, the fact that he was locked up most of his life because he couldn't go outside a lot of the time.
Can we talk about
The opening, which I was like, what the fuck is going on?
We all stopped and turned
Dude,
toward each
Real
other.
quick, just because I might not remember all of the elements, break down, if you can, in real time, how we were just like, what the fuck? How come there's so many little details that just tie directly into us and our interests, like jumping out at us right at the forefront of this movie?
Well, Q, U, A.
Once we got there, it was like, hold on.
Are you?
Yeah. I was like,
are
he's
you-
spelling quarantine right now. Like,
And I was like, give it a second.
Yep.
And then as soon as that R came out, it was
and
like,
that
oh,
scene
wow.
is really uncomfortable, and the way it's shot feels very like almost the way the Black Lodge looks. Like it has this weird otherworldly vibe to it. But I mean, obviously, it seems
it's
like
like
it's
his
coming from his
memory.
memory, exactly. So there's a bit of a romance to it.
Well, yeah, and
I
a bit of a
didn't-
fear. That's
No,
where
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
started.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was like the unsettling comfort, like comfort in the woman, but unsettling in the information.
Yes.
Like it was being delivered nice, and like it wasn't like a bad setting. It like he's not being
Gosh.
abused, but like everything that we were hearing and learning was like, oh god.
Because surprise, even though like, even
So
though
this is Sassy's remake of Psycho.
no,
Okay.
so even though we still are battling a pandemic and don't have it down great in the present, we've come a long way with medicine and technology.
Oh yeah.
And back in the day, everything was horrifying and could kill you. You were lucky to live.
Yeah.
Period. Everyone on a day-to-day basis. So that's where all of his, neuroses start, is in this very startling opening to a biopic of his mom for cleaning him, warning him of disease, and making him spell quarantine.
Yeah,
And
just
it
like
goes out like twice in the movie. Like it comes back to this, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
once in the middle, once at the end.
it
Or is
doesn't
it
Oh,
just
like
at the end?
directly to the
Yeah.
kid? I think he definitely does at the end,
It's
but I don't know.
100% at the end. I thought it happened one more time.
It probably does. I don't remember if it does officially.
maybe. I know that he name drops some of the things that she says to him a couple of times throughout the film.
Maybe
but
that's what I was
in
thinking.
terms of like actual flashbacks. Nothing's popping out to me except for at the end.
Somehow the ultimate tone setter, even though like the tone doesn't match that for the rest of the movie. You know
Well,
what I
it's
mean?
the idea that that's the lingering thing in the back of Hughes's head. It's
and
kind
we
of the
know
same
that
way.
it's in the back of
Spoilers.
our
We're going to
heads.
go to the ending of Aviator real quick. But it's,
Yeah, here we are.
It's that idea where the entire movie itself is the distraction from the opening, and then you circle back to it and close it full circle with the coda of the way of the future, and he's still crazy, and everyone's just gonna put it to the back because they need his genius first and foremost.
You just gave me such bad chills.
It's
this
a
movie
scary movie.
Fucking rules.
It's a good movie. It's really
You
this,
said it.
This is up there with another Sassy that starts with an A, After Hours, and being one of his most underrated movies.
Absolutely.
This
Because I
movie
can't
is a
believe that this
distract-
isn't talked about a lot, like even in the vast conversation about him as a filmmaker, given that all the people that are in this,
I mean-
especially the people that aren't as famous then and are more famous now,
we
that show up.
we can't ignore it was a big deal at the time. It's just one that retained no cultural relevancy.
What was the box office? Did you say it already?
Yeah, it was like over $200 million, 213.
So that's
at
big.
The time.
That's big.
Yeah. And it got nominated for 11 Academy Awards.
What
I'm gonna
year?
run this down. 2004. Run it down real fast. It won supporting actress for Blanchett, cinematography for Richardson, which is like literally his best work ever, I think.
Definitely his most experimental.
Best art direction for Eddie, getting in there again. Costume design, Sandy Powell. Editing, Schoonmaker. Is that how you say it? Schoonmaker?
Schoonmaker.
Was I right the first time?
Yes.
Schoonmaker.
It's Schoonmaker and Scorsese. Get it right, people.
So-
But it also got nominated for Best Picture, Director, Original Screenplay, Actor, Supporting Actor for Alan Alda, and Best Sound Mixing.
Alan
So-
Alda?
Yeah, the guy who he faces off with in court,
Let me ask you
the
something.
senator. Yeah, I know.
Howard
He's
Hughes.
amazing.
Howard Hughes. Let me ask you something, okay?
That's like the best
I
part
got a
of the
question
movie.
for you.
Stop
That's my best Alan Alda.
It's
I
pretty
can't
good.
do it good.
Alan Alda.
Alan Alda.
You gotta
Alan-
just
you gotta have a little pizzazz. I can't quite.
It's half Stephen Wright and half somebody. Who's
he just
the other
sounds
half?
he just sounds so nice and warm and comforting. I think that was part of the reason why like he works even better in this movie, because there's something about Alan Alda that just feels like my grandpa. Like just feels like somebody who
He's
just
somebody's
gives you that
grandpa.
warmth, you know? And he plays such a vile role here.
But and it's like the biggest part of the movie, and it's the longest set piece in a weird way.
right. Ultimately the thing that consumes it by the end.
So the movie definitely was relevant in its year, and it was a big deal. And
Yeah.
Leo popped off, and everything popped off, and it was a hit and critically successful. I think because it didn't win Best Picture, $1 Million Fucking Dollar Baby beat this, which is absurd. I haven't even seen it, but I'm
I
calling
haven't
it
seen
absurd.
it since I was a
Hillary
teenager,
Swank
but
for
I
$1 Million
definitely don't.
Baby.
Didn't
But-
stick around.
His next movie he wins Best Picture, The Departed, and I
Yeah.
think that literally just overshadows this completely, and
That you're
people
probably right.
literally forget this even happened. They're like, "Oh, The Departed," and they were the real close together, which
Yeah,
isn't
this,
how he normally
Gangs
works.
of New
either.
York and The Departed were all 2 years apart.
That's got to be his like quickest streak since the 70s, right?
Oh yeah, I would have to imagine.
Oh wait, After Hours and Color of Money were at right after
1
that.
year,
and
yeah.
then Temptation.
But I mean,
Goodfellas.
if you're talking about
Okay, so he's always kind of
yeah.
had this rate.
Man, well, that's funny because that's his 4-stack. That's like one of his 4-stacks.
Mhm.
Good
Anyway.
stuff.
So I think that's why. I think the movie's lost its long-term or it's lost its longevity because of The Departed, but like and that's a bummer.
Yeah. Well,
Why?
that's an interesting theory.
Let's get it back.
Well, I think if anything,
Aviator.
now's the time. I think this movie is super like poignant to what's going on right now.
Literally everything
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
Fucking bananas. Actually. Wasn't expecting it. I've seen this before, and neither of you had.
This was
No.
the last Scorsese that I needed to see before. I've now seen all of Martin Scorsese's
Yes,
narrative
I am
fiction
not-
movies.
I am now the only remaining non-Sessy person.
Your last one's gonna be Silence. What a bummer.
Interesting.
I just wish it was something
well,
more
technically, it'll
fun.
be Killer of the Flower Moon.
Well,
All
that'll
of
be
ours will
all of
have
us.
more, yeah.
But that's not right now.
American Utopia comes out soon.
Silence. I'm so worried.
Yeah,
that
that's
it's
fine.
just
We're
gonna
not
be-
there yet. Don't worry about it. We're at
It's
the
the one-
Aviator.
Yeah.
We're having fun with Leo.
We're having fun with Leo. We're in big ass planes. We're spending lots of money, and we're breaking hearts and getting heartbroken.
And getting back to where we were at too, if I'm remembering correctly, wasn't it a really like jarring but amazing cut coming out of the like quarantine scene, going right into him slating for Hell's Angels?
Yeah,
That is, it's like
yeah.
immediately after, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
literally. Like,
There's the
it's-
title card with the badge, the Aviator.
Oh, was that
might come
before?
before? I'm not sure.
I think
but
that
I know
might
it
have
happens
happened
at some
before.
point.
This
Never mind.
Tough to know.
but then it launches us right into the hellish and insane production of Hell's Angels.
Mhm.
Hughes' like magnum opus of becoming Howard Hughes.
Right?
I
Come-
guess.
It comes
Well,
out
the-
in 1930, right? The movie.
I think so. Fine, eventually.
How long did it take to make?
A long time.
The thing that I'd like, okay, it's almost insane to me. Well, it is insane.
It was a 3-year project from 1927 to 1930.
because they filmed the entire movie silent, and then they screened it silent, and then he saw the jazz singer
And
and
he
was
said-
like, "That needs to be the way we do this. We need to scrap it and
he said, "Run it back.
start over."
We can do better."
Redid the whole thing with
That's real.
sound.
That's real.
I think so.
Like that's insane.
If it's not real, that's stupid.
I know.
Don't put that in the movie.
I know.
That better be real. Don't make me.
Why would you quote?
I'm just kidding. It's definitely real.
It has to be.
They don't get into the fact that like other people get credited with directing that movie.
Yes.
Like he shares.
I saw that James Whale gets credited as
Yeah.
well as somebody else.
No, the other one has too as well. It's James Whale and Howard Hughes. James Whale did the dialogue stuff, I guess. So maybe they didn't reshoot the whole thing. Maybe they just reshot the like scenes to have dialogue.
And he probably focused on the plane stuff while James Whale did all the other stuff.
Maybe I don't want
like
to.
that.
I don't want to look all this.
James
up right
Whale's the
now.
guy who made Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Old Dark House.
But they don't get into that at all in The Aviator.
No, not at all. And I was bummed that we didn't get to meet Howard Hawks. I thought
Yeah,
that we
me
might
too.
see him at some point
Thought
because
he
they
might
talk. I
sneak through.
didn't know that Howard Hughes produced the original Scarface. Howard Hawks'
Me neither.
production of Scarface, and I mean, I knew that Howard Hawks was a co-director on The Outlaw, but I didn't
Mhm.
remember that it was 43. So that's like far past Bringing Up Baby, Only Angels Have Wings,
His Girl Friday.
His Girl Friday, and Ball of Fire. After all those,
And right before Rio Bravo?
Rio Bravo's 50.
Or not Rio Bravo, Red River.
Red River's 47, I
So
think. So
a little
yeah, or
before.
46. So a little before. Not crazy, but yeah, man. How weird. But
Super.
I do think it's good that we focus pretty exclusively on Hughes
Howard
and the
Hughes.
people that directly affect him,
Yes.
because obviously that shows that Hawks at least didn't have that prominent of a role in his personal life, probably
Yes.
just as professional.
That's actually a great point. It really dials you into where his priorities are. We've talked. How many times are we going to talk about it? Scorsese's the king of getting you in his character's headspace. Like
Mhm.
if he's not amazing at anything else, it's literally that. So we are immediately integrated into Howard's world of I have to make this movie the way I have to make it, and
Yep.
also
Everything's huge.
everything can kill me. Like, I'm going to die.
But he's not afraid of planes,
No, he's not.
and he's not afraid to do crazy shit in
He-
them.
Controlled
It's not.
environment. It's I feel like
Controlled.
He's got hubris in one way and not in the other.
I feel like that's the only way to balance it. Like if you have these crazy thoughts and this insane fear about your health and dying, then like on the opposite end of that, you're gonna want to be doing everything as big and as best as possible if you feel like you could die tomorrow.
Probably helps that he has
Millions and millions of dollars.
And you said that specifically was a thing that it was like inherited money.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Because I thought it was odd that because going into this movie, I didn't know all that much about Howard Hughes other than the fact that he was a recluse
Yep.
and like went
I only
crazy.
know late.
I didn't know
life
shit
stuff.
about him. You guys gave me the rundown before we started the movie, and I was like, "What?"
I
All right.
remember when I was a
Oh.
kid, I used to not trim my nails sometimes, like, and they'd get a little long. And as a little kid, and my mom used to call me either Howard Hughes or something else. So there were two names she'd give me, but Howard Hughes was one of them.
Cut your own nails. I bet you she had just saw The Aviator and was like, let's get this in here.
Yeah.
I think I had when I saw this once like 10 years ago and remembered basically none of it. I was
Mhm.
like, I only remember the stuff between Leo and Blanchett, and literally everything else was like brand new to me. So I feel like this helps give a good portrait of who Hughes was as a person, right?
At
Like,
least a bit, yeah, as much as we can. I mean, the 3-hour runtime too is quite an extensive period.
Did you guys feel like this movie flew by?
I like not flew like in the traditional sense.
Get
like
Out.
it definitely felt like the length of a regular movie, but like it didn't feel like it was overstaying its welcome, and it never felt like it was too long.
I don't know. I feel like whenever there was a moment where a lull could have happened, something like popped up. Like almost every time. Like I feel like this movie was full of like, while it's not an action movie, it was full of like very big or important events. Like they make a panic attack like mean like a lot, where it's like, oh shit. Well, now I'm kind of like I'm awake now. I want to see what happens.
Well, that
next.
runs you back to Sassy being able to put you in the headspace real well.
Mm-hmm. What do you think this?
So I think that helps with making it 3 hours sort of fly by.
God damn it! I invited it. I invited that in. That's only on me. I can't even goddamn it you. Well played, sir. I don't remember what I was gonna fucking say. Hold on. I can pull it back. Good movie.
You know what?
What? Oh, I remember. What do you guys think? What other Scorsese movie do you think this one's the most like? From before this, not anything coming after. Because it definitely feels like its own chapter. It feels like he took the maximalism of Gangs in New York and like perfected it almost immediately. Because he took on a story that was more in his wheelhouse. So it makes sense to me. So in a way, I'd say Gangs, but also like I was thinking New York a
I
little
was
bit.
gonna say that.
Like
As much as
kinda
I hate it.
in the way.
And Raging Bull a bit, like just in the idea that it really gets into the character's head and uses the cinematic techniques to like explain what they're feeling like on a physical level.
Fuck yeah. I didn't even consider that, but as soon as you said it, I was like,
but
I
not
don't
really
think
in
you're
terms of narrative, but in the
Or even
biopic
character.
and all that stuff
That's
too.
why those are his two best attempts at the standard bio.
Oh yeah, I know. And because before recording, I don't know if you said it, I might that this is his best turn at the biopic.
I think it is.
I was gonna say it's tough to pick between that and Raging Bull.
I think Raging Bull is a little more artsy and it takes a little more free reign, where this still feels like a standard, like doing the checklist biopic.
Oh yeah, no
but
doubt.
Just
It's-
perfected the form.
It is exactly what we talk about that we hate.
But like done correct.
Yes, or at least done well enough.
Is there one that you think we haven't mentioned, Brandon?
I don't know, because like I'm thinking about like the only movie that I can think of predominantly is one that we haven't watched yet. So I was
which
trying
one?
to
I'm
think about
curious.
Wolf of Wall Street. Just that's about
Same
it's really
maximalist
weird,
Leo
like
led.
Yeah.
a rich philanthropist, but you're also trying to get into their mindset so you know how they're thinking. So it's like I feel like the movie goes out of its way to make sure you know that, like, yeah, Howard Hughes is fucked up and he's also rich and he's also cool, but he's also an immense asshole. Don't forget that.
Well, but I think there's a bit more room to empathize with Hughes, I think, because
Way
of the fact that he literally has mental disabilities
Yes.
that keep him from being able to do or be the person he needs to be.
Okay, another new question. Who's Scorsese's most sympathetic pro tag so far?
Maybe him.
Male pro tag.
Maybe him.
Well, and I'm gonna say not counting Kundun, because obviously fucking Kundun. Like obviously the Dalai Lama is the most like sympathetic and like good person.
Right. I forget.
Of course. Like that doesn't count. It's true Scorsese pro tag. Is it him?
It's probably
Is it
up to this point.
Jesus?
No, Howard Hughes.
No, fuck that dude.
I mean, a little.
In that version of the movie, he's scary.
Yeah, and he's kind of a
Paul Hackett.
cock. Paul Hackett, a little. I don't know, man. I think
I
think
wanted to
Howard.
bone. He had a rough night.
That's true, but he's also an asshole. He just is an asshole. I don't think Howard.
I
Like
think
Howard
are
Hughes
we,
is
we're
an
all
asshole.
assholes.
We're all
to a certain extent.
God damn it!
I think that's the thing.
Even Alice is kind of an asshole. I was just looking at the cover. Alice doesn't live here anymore. Like,
No,
she's
you
kind
guys
of
brought
an
that up
asshole.
on Mike a bunch of times.
I
Like
know.
she's a bad mom.
She
She
kinda was,
literally
like, kind of
makes
bad mom, kind of an
she's
asshole.
she's not a bad mom because she
She
loves her
lit-
son.
Yeah,
Jack
but she
Carbert's an
literally
asshole.
she want to fuck her son. She
They're all
literally
assholes except the
Forgot about the incest shit.
she
in that
literally
movie.
makes him walk home, which is like, you can walk home. He goes, okay. And she's like, okay.
And then
and
doesn't
then
he end up at the police station
Yeah, because he gets drunk
with
off the
Jodie
rickles.
Foster
Is
off
that
the
night?
Ripple?
Off the ripple, not the
Movie.
rickles, the
Good
ripples.
movie.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Go watch Alice doesn't live here anymore.
Yeah,
we
fuck
know you
the
have
Aviator.
it. No.
Just
No.
kidding.
Chris Christopherson's in it. Have a good time.
Yeah.
So fucking
Gwen Stefani's in this.
Gwen
For
Stefani is
30 seconds.
for like 30.
Yeah.
Sure. But hey, Gwen Stefani. You know how we haven't talked about
The cast.
How are we doing?
Stack
Are we
cast.
doing a rundown or are we doing?
Well, let's
broad?
just talk acting real quick
All right.
because there's a lot of people to go talk.
Leo.
It's his best.
It might be his best.
I think this is
So
actually
far?
this is the best display of all the
Ever.
things that Leo does. If you want to see his range, this is it. Even though there's not much room for comedy here.
I think we need to see Departed and Wolf of Wall Street before we can declare it for sure. Because I think outside of those, what even competes? Like Gilbert Grape and Revenant, like theoretically. And then it's those three.
I think that Once Upon a
Scorsese-
Time in Hollywood is a good example of how he can.
he is good in that
do
movie.
things,
Like
yes.
he does a good job at that role. I forget.
It's like made for him. Too,
I know.
though, so that's
I
kind
know.
of unfair. in
I
a
know.
way.
You're right. Fuck Django. Like that's not that good.
I just
I
think
remember being
I
so
think
disappointed.
I think that's part of the reason why I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood more almost is because in a way it feels like that is his character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood playing Calvin Candy and Django. So it's Rick Dalton. It's Leonardo DiCaprio playing Rick Dalton playing Calvin
I
Candy.
see what you're saying.
And I like that idea. And I think Tarantino would too, so I'll stick with it.
So I mean, this is definitely we got to see them all, but this is probably his best.
It's
This
up
is
there.
Probably his best.
It's up there.
He does
He
phenomenal.
exhibits a lot of range.
It's probably that. I gotta see Departed because before that, I thought Departed was where he showed the most range. I think this might actually exhibit more.
We'll see.
Well, I think The Departed
We'll see
works,
about
but
Wolfie.
I guess it just depends on what you value. Because in The Departed, you're forcing range,
Right.
3 separate roles
Be
essentially,
careful,
or
be
whatever.
careful,
But
But yes.
this movie, you're supposed to be one guy wrestling with all these different personalities.
You're not a
within you.
real actor unless you can be funny. That's why Wolf of Wall Street will be the determiner.
I mean, he
That's-
is hilarious. in
That's
movie.
another one that feels like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to me, where it's like this was made for you
Yeah.
to do. This
Yeah.
takes all your talent and just.
Well, that was a movie
poops it
that
out.
Leo was the one in charge
Yes.
of and brought Sassy on.
He was like, "Come on, Marty, come on, look, read it.
Yeah.
It's clearly you and me.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Marty?"
But I think also in the idea that
Ah,
what
fucking
you were
I love
talking
you,
about,
kid.
that we were looking for the most empathetic Scorsese protagonist, I think DiCaprio as a actor
Brings
plays
it.
into that.
Yeah.
In my idea that Hughes is the most empathetic.
And when I'm thinking about the
100%.
future ones, I feel like the Irishman does trick you upon the first viewing, tricks you into
Mhm.
really caring about and empathizing with Frank Sheeran to the utmost degree.
But I don't know. I think that
To
even
the
when we walked
utmost
out of that
degree.
movie, we were
Nah.
able to watch it with a separate set of eyes. Like we were seeing it
On
through
the-
his perspective, but we were able to see through the veneer.
On the first viewing,
Yeah,
On
we were.
first viewing.
It hurts.
I think that's why I sobbed so much. I
Yeah.
was like, I feel betrayed. Like I'm just like, this is too much to even process. Like I cared
feel
so much, but you're
betrayed.
such a fucking sociopathic nightmare.
He's just no, he's not.
And it's like you dummy.
You're projecting your emotions
I
onto
know.
him.
Leave me alone.
He's the blank canvas.
One
It's a brilliant movie. It's a brilliant movie.
something I didn't know about Aviator before we run down the cast, I did not forget. DiCaprio dedicated hundreds of hours of work to portray Hughes' unique case of OCD. Apart from doing his own research on Hughes, he met with a lot of people and stuff, and he focused on the way individuals would compulsively and repeatedly wash their hands, which is so he brought that scene to the movie because
He's doing. I literally the other day when I was at the Chappelle show out in Ohio, wild shit.
nice.
But they had like a hand sanitizer stand and like
Mhm.
washed our hands, and I was with Nick, who we've talked about in the podcast,
It's
had
been
on the podcast,
yeah.
who watched The
That's the
Aviator with
patient.
us.
But
And work got in the
work
way of him
kept
being here
him-
today.
He's
Unfortunately,
supposed to be here.
one day.
Screw you.
One day he'll come
capitalism.
back.
He's been on, so it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. He
We
might
gotta
come
get
on for the
gas.
Departed. Might come on for the Departed.
If he's watched the movie, that
If he
could be the
watches the movie,
makeup.
maybe we'll bring him back to the Departed.
It's definitely
That'd be way more
if
fun.
it
If
is
anything, we
what-
do need the most extremities for the Departed. The Departed's got the most extremities. So, anyway, washed my hands and then immediately started doing the weird, like hands completely spread apart, like fingers going in and out of between each other as aggressively as humanly possible. And looked up, and everyone in the booths were staring at me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm looking like a crazy person, right?" Sorry,
Like Howard Hughes.
exactly.
He was on the brain because you went right after we watched it.
Yeah,
right?
immediately. It was hot off the trail.
So
Good shit.
Leo did good boy acting.
The good boy acting, and if the Departed is what you guys have described it as, it's definitely a Brooklyn Manhawks thing.
It seems
So-
like it has the potential.
It certainly has a bit, but you know what? The Aviator was like the
Perfect.
Brooklyn Manhawks movie in a weird way. The Brooklyn Manhawks, first of all, just because we haven't explained what that is
better. Keep it a mystery.
Don't.
You know what? You're right. You'll never know.
You'll never know. Only if you're in.
I think that
We got
if
our
you listen
own,
to this
lads.
podcast,
You
though,
can
I
probably
think you
figure it
figured it
out
out
real
yeah.
fast.
But okay. So anyway,
Kate Blanchett,
Kate Blanchett is also amazing.
Phenomenal.
John C. Riley.
Well,
Fucking great.
we can't just skim over Kate Blanchett.
I was
like
I was
that.
gonna circle back.
Okay. Well, if you want to circle
No,
back, over it.
no. Yeah, Kate Beckinsale, Alec Baldwin, Alan Alda, Ian Holm, Danny Houston, Dustin Hoffman. What?
He's not in this movie. for the
No,
record.
I just read that instead of Danny Houston. My
It
brain
happens.
just shut off.
The
Dustin
synapses.
Hoffman.
Gwen
The
Stefani
Graduate.
for 30 seconds, Jude Law for 2 scenes, Willem Dafoe for 1 scene, Adam Scott.
That's right.
Amazing.
He's a clinch pick for this. He's the Dion Waiters of this movie.
he is.
He does so
literally
well.
is.
I was saying when Adam Scott in my favorite roles of his that he plays, like in The Good Place, is just like being like a little shit boy where he's just like, nope, fuck you, and I'm just gonna smile and say like and be the worst the whole time.
He literally
Or
said
like
the
in Step
funniest
Brothers.
shit. Yeah, oh my god. Step Brothers might be his other best role. He's the best part of
He
Step
is.
Brothers. I don't like that movie. I think everything with Adam Scott is genuinely hilarious.
Did we talk about the Lighthouse Step
You want to
Brothers
hit
trailer
me,
on
don't
Mike?
you? Yes, we
Punch me in my fucking face.
yeah! In the Sweet Child of Mine scene. It's the
It's
greatest
thing
that's
like,
ever happened, ever
Flat.
been filmed.
You're flat.
Out of just in the middle of the
$100
movie.
voice lessons a week, and this is what we got. I'm gonna blow you away with this solo.
I remember watching that whole sequence of when he visits on TV one day. I was like, is this movie actually funny? And then I saw other parts. I'm like, it's not. It's just the Adam Scott parts. Like,
I love Step Brother.
get out of here.
fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Boring.
Pow! Did he just say pow?
Boats and hoes. Boats and hoes.
Feels like it's trying too hard. But John C. is
He's
great
in it,
here.
too.
And Adam Scott.
John Cena.
I didn't even put those
Me
pieces
neither.
together.
No.
That's a reunion. There's another reunion here too. Oh, it's Kate Blanchett and Jude Law, the talented Mr. Ripley reunion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
I can't forget about that. Willem is now done with Sassy. He was in one scene, was very irrelevant.
Yep. Then there's another thing about this movie being on our wavelength is that Brandon Defoe somehow guessed that Willem Dafoe was in this movie.
We
Like,
talked
I don't-
about it.
I don't know if
No,
We did it
didn't.
because on Last Temptation.
he doesn't retain those details.
At all.
The
I
subconscious.
I mean,
just
maybe the
does.
subconscious does, but he doesn't.
Anywho,
Don't,
Kate-
you
one
take,
and
the same.
don't you take away my victory.
Kate Blanchett.
She
Go.
does. She does really well. I like her.
She does really well.
I
I mean,
like her
like-
energy, like throughout the whole movie.
If
She-
you know
she
anything
is
about
Katharine
Katharine
Hepburn.
Hepburn, she's nailing it. Like it's just
I know nothing
the
about her.
perfect portrayal that's like the closest thing to what you'd assume is a caricature. But if
Uh-huh.
you've seen any Katharine
No, that's her.
Hepburn movies, that's her, baby.
Which, like, I assume we would be saying the same thing if we knew more about Howard Hughes, which
Yeah.
almost puts Blanchett at a disadvantage, but then also proves how good she did.
right.
Because I still saw her as a character at some point. At first, I couldn't shake it. I was
Yeah.
like, "This is almost bothering me," because
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's too perfect."
Yeah.
like you're just being Katharine Hepburn. I
But
don't know.
eventually, it's like you're a person.
and then eventually, yeah, I was like, "Oh, Kate Blanchett, look at you go, yeah, girl, get it."
And
Yeah,
doesn't
she wrote
she,
me in.
doesn't she do I'm Not There the following year?
No, 3 years later.
Oh, it's 3 years later. That's right.
God,
We're not
that's
Departed.
her
I had The Departed in my
That's
head.
the Bob Dylan movie, and she plays one of the iterations of Bob Dylan. And it's literally her best.
Does she win?
performance. No,
No.
That's the year. Didn't Ruby Dee win for American Gangster?
That
or
would make
something?
sense.
Or
I'm
it's-
sorry.
Hold on. Now I gotta know. That's 2007. That's the year. So spoiled.
Hey, what do we say? Doing 2007 movies this year. We've already watched.
We've already watched most of
like
them.
a lot.
Zodiac, There Will Be Blood,
No
No Country for Old
Country,
Men,
Michael
Michael
Clayton.
Clayton.
There was
I
there
have
was more.
Superbad in the Blu-ray player right now.
What were we? American Gangster, Gone Baby Gone. Oh, Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward
Got
Robert
Robert
Ford.
Ford,
We
yeah,
have to
wow.
watch
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
I don't know why. I just name dropped Casey Affleck for some reason the other day, and we got to talking about it.
You'll like Assassination of Jesse James. It's a good
Love
movie.
it.
By the Robert Coward Ford. By the.
By the Robert Coward.
I think you actually said by the coward Robert Ford.
No, I
did it.
said by the Robert Coward Ford.
It sounded perfect in my ears.
Oh, guys, I'm an asshole. I'm an idiot. Tilda Swinton won.
Oh, for Michael Clayton.
Fucking
We knew
idiot.
that.
We're all fucking idiots.
We knew this.
Juno's that year. Diamond Bell and the Butterfly.
Good
Fucking
movies.
Ratatouille.
Oh, Rat Patootie.
God damn it.
Rat Patootie.
I'd rewatch Atonement. I remember hating it. Let's give it another shot.
I don't remember. I've never seen it.
We have to read the book beforehand.
No. Anyway. Kate Blanchett's great.
Yes.
Who
She
else?
is.
Who else? Supporting cast. Who do we like after those two? Because those two are the obvious ones.
I mean, Alec Baldwin does his Alec Baldwin thing. But
He
I
is
mean,
pretty
like,
great.
it's crazy that he's been doing it so well for so long. Like, he's
That's true.
still pulling, like you were saying, he's doing the Trump thing.
It
and
seems
it's
like he was doing Trump.
Yeah,
It was weird.
that's on purpose.
He had a little
Yeah.
lip pout, and he was just like, "I'm rich. Let me buy out your shit."
Isn't it kind of hilarious how that plays into real life?
Yes. Literally,
Obnoxious. What if
yes.
he's had this impression for years, and this is something he used to do at like parties or something,
It's
and then
like,
he
I
became
can
president, and SNL was like, Lauren's like, Alec, come on, bring the impression on the show,
Okay.
please.
Give me $1 million. I'm just fucking with you, Lauren.
Alec Baldwin's so weird. He has a interview on the Seconds Blu-ray, the Criterion,
What?
about just how much he loves Seconds and John Frankenheimer.
Literally, why not?
I know, right? Interesting.
Can we talk about how we should never forget that he's got kicked off the plane for the wouldn't stop playing Words with Friends? Can we never forget that?
Oh yeah, wait, what was the deal with that?
Excuse
They
me?
were like, we gotta take off. You need to put your phone away. And he started being like, "Fuck you!" Ah! He was just playing like Words with Friends or whatever. It's just like that's the best crazy, like rich, out of touch person thing I've ever heard.
Leave me alone. I'm playing Words with Friends.
Hold on, I gotta. He got kicked off the flight. He refused to turn off his phone, his cell phone, and he was
Jude Law
just
is good
playing
in this.
Words with Friends. Jude Law is good, but he's in one scene. What about is it Alan Alda and fucking Adam Scott? Are they the next best? Kate Beckinsale's pretty damn good.
You know who I actually think is the best?
Who?
The Wainwrights.
It's literally still.
Just when I
The
think
fa-
of him standing on the stage, like bopping back and forth, like
that was the funniest thing.
and then the
the
dad,
guy.
his who
The
must be his dad,
Going
craziest man.
insane.
Just in case you didn't know this movie was chaotic, here's a literal, all wrapped up in one dude, all the energy.
The old man band leader, like throwing his arms in the air, like shaking his head, mouth open, side to side, like a lunatic, and the camera's like panning around
It's
him
like
real
I have to
fast.
think that
Completely
he
forgot
started
about that.
doing that without being directed. Marty was just like, film that
I
now.
love it. I love it.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
When you said the Wainwrights, I thought in my head, I was like, the Wright brothers.
That's immediately what I thought you were going to
What scene was that?
I mean,
And
we
I
are
was
talking about aviation.
I know, but I was like racking my brain. I felt like the Blueprint scene. I was rolling
Oh,
through.
with
I was
the-
just like, where was the Wright brothers?
Okay, so that's most of the cast. That's a good place
That's
to
the whole
talk about
cast.
Thelma.
Delma.
Thelma.
She's back on her game after 2 real bad showings.
Two
She
real
back.
bad showing. She back on her game. Thelma, you did a good job on this movie, Schoolmacher.
Honestly, she hasn't blown me away, I think, since like Age of Innocence.
Agent is well. I love gangs.
Casino.
And just how
Actually,
fast.
okay, she does do a good job in
Yeah.
Casino. I apologize.
And I mean, Kundun is good for
It's
what
good.
it is.
But I
It's-
said,
I
it's
like
not
Kundun.
flashy.
It's
What?
not flashy.
I like it.
I love it. No, I don't. But I like it. And she does do good stuff.
Yeah, but Bringing Out the Dead and
Gangs in New York,
Gangs in New
are
York are rough.
sloppy. They're
But
sloppy.
she's back with Aviator. She's got a couple of the best cuts she's ever done in this.
Ever. The Hand.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Can we just talk about it right now?
Yeah.
You guys, I felt like I literally lost my breath. I felt like I was experiencing the bone being thrown.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why either, but it was just that.
Because it's just when you see something that's just like, that's so good.
And Leo and Kate are both going full throttle,
Mhm.
and they're
Full throttle.
It's a very
Full throttle.
It's a very romantic scene, and then they're gonna do the coitus, and he starts rubbing his hand on her back, and then it cut to him rubbing the plane, and I literally couldn't. I feel flustered. Am
It's
I
a very
blushing?
good. It's a very good cut.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It just like, how do you summarize this man in one shot, in one edit? I was like, that's it. You did the movie. You could end it right here. I don't
Yeah.
know. You just said
Or at
your-
least
that's the
some of his
thesis.
obsessions.
That's it. Those are the two things: his work and his play. His work and his play.
Yeah.
Is it love? Does Howard know what love is?
I think he tries to,
Yeah, I think he
It's
tries.
But I
hard
do-
to in that
but
world.
I think it's indicative, like with how many women that he is end up with throughout the movie, that he just needs a person there.
He's got the Elon Musk vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Just
little
like
bit.
I care about work, and if you're here, that's cool too, I guess.
Thank you.
Frank and I talked. Didn't I mention that while we were watching it? That he's just like the SpaceX of the 30s?
Yes, you did. He literally is. It's everything about this. This feels like it's the same territory as There Will Be Blood. We talked about that a
I
few
said
times
that
during
there
the
were
movie.
quite a few scenes in this where even the camera work and the
Yep.
settings and the location
Yep.
all were reminding me of There Will Be Blood, like evoking the same things. Like I have to think that Paul watched this movie
Yes.
while making that movie.
Had
like,
to.
in a way.
Well,
I know
not had
he
to.
only watched Treasure of the Sierra Madre according to lore, but we'll see about that.
But you know, it sort of succeeds in the
Tell us,
same
Paul.
in the same thing
chroniccan@gmail.com.
of like going on the journey with this man and seeing his rise and wanting to see him overcome despite, you know, his personality. Though I will say, you know, I feel like pretty early on you're like, Daniel Plainview's you're just crazy, and I'm riding with it because like I'm seeing how you're making this work for you. Whereas with Howard Hughes, you're like, oh shit, you're crazy, but like I want to see how you're gonna fall from all this, and then like he just doesn't. You just know that he does
Kind of.
eventually.
He does,
He
man.
does.
I mean,
He
you do see
does.
one of his rock
Mentally.
bottoms.
He loses like his entire reputation, and then like he starts to pick it back up again at the end.
Yeah.
And then we're still left on the note of like, well, even if he does get his reputation back, it's all just going to circle back to where he's at. So
Yeah, it's a tragic fall. It feels tragic.
yeah,
It doesn't feel preordained.
no,
This is one of the few times in Scorsese's career where I'm like, that felt like a natural rise and fall. I think because the rise lasted much longer than I thought it was going to.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
until that plane crash that you're like, this is gonna definitely
You know,
go wrong.
well, it's because like
and
when
then
he-
it's that scene leading up to the crash. It's like, oh no, you're pushing too hard. This is not gonna end well, buddy.
well, when we get to the end and
And
it
that's not even-
starts to
you're
have
ta-
that moment where he gets all paranoid again.
Yeah.
And he's like seeing people. I had that thought that,
The way
oh,
to the
are we
video.
about to get this entire last half was a dream, and he just concocted all this in his craziness. And then Brandon was like, I mean, everything has been going too well this entire time. And I was like, you're not wrong. Everything has been going too well. I don't know the story of Howard Hughes. Maybe all this stuff didn't happen. Maybe everyone else knows this if they're watching the movie, but I didn't. But it's even more tragic that he did get that storybook ending, but reality is still there. Like, it's going to linger in the back. Like, his craziness will never leave him. It's
Wait.
fucked.
What Frank? What plane crash are you referring to? Because there are two,
the
that he's involved-
deadly one.
like the one where he almost fucking dies.
Yes.
Okay, I mean
think
that's the one I
that
thought.
signifies
But the fact
fall.
that that isn't the only plane crash that he's in is crazy.
That's the hubris on display. Oh, I crashed. Ooh, that was scary.
That crash
Again.
might be the craziest thing Scorsese's ever filmed.
Ever. Even to the modern day.
Yeah.
Like, that was I do not remember it being that crazy.
It was
It was-
insane.
It was bonkers. My name is Howard Hughes. I'm the Aviator. The Aviator.
crazy. Oh, my God. I love this movie. I
His
love
heart
this
is
movie.
slightly to the right.
Like, everything in his body was broken. He was burned to
It
shit.
almost sounded like a Simpsons episode, the doctor coming out to list off all the most ridiculous things
I
that
know,
could be
but
wrong with
then-
a person.
You see him and he looks like fine. He has like a scar.
It's because movies.
Yeah, dude.
You need to still be able to tell it's Leo. It's probably in his contract.
He had like some burns on his like chest and arms.
I'm sure
and
the
shit.
producers, the Weinsteins, were none too happy to see.
Don't say their name.
Ah, you're right. I'll cut
Bleep it out. No, just bleep it. Beep. But beep. Burned bad. He sure was.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
I'm sorry.
Good job.
But I mean, as far as the movie itself is concerned, like I don't know how much there is to talk about in the realm of other than just like that's why I think I ultimately landed with the
What are you
movie
talking
being
about?
well. Okay, what do you got?
There's like a whole movies we haven't talked about.
Get it, baby.
I mean, like, I don't know. There's the Hell's Angel thing we never even wrapped up. There's the Outlaw.
The whole making of the
fiasco.
movie.
Yeah. Then there's him with Hepburn. There's him with oh my God, Ava Gardner. And there's like, the movie feels like it's or him working for the military trying to build the two different planes, and then also the FBI stuff at the end and the commission and Pan Am. Feels like the movie is split up into like these sections of like projects that he's
Yeah.
working on.
he
I
has
feel-
he led quite a life. He wasn't just a director. You
He was a
know?
philanthropist, you might
Mhm,
say.
mhm.
That
Through
you
and
just
through.
said earlier.
Yes.
A full-on rapist. Okay. Actually, though,
Philanthropy.
I mean,
we
we're
should
talking
talk
about the 15-year-old.
we should talk about Faye Dahmer.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
Looked at the Wikipedia, was horrifically reminded. My brain literally just like snipped it right out.
I mean,
was
she
like,
tried to kill him.
That whole scene is terrifying.
He's like, you're talking about Leo's accent in this movie? How it's
His accent in every movie
kinda
he's in,
hilarious. Yeah,
and that's how it's hilarious in every movie he's in.
but also amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the same movie that the chocolates girl or whatever comes up to the table to like try to sell them something, and he's like, how old are you? Turn around.
Oh yeah,
I want to
at the
please
front.
you. And
that
like,
was
he
so
touch-
weird.
And like he
That was
touches her leg.
Yeah, that was like I thought she was a waitress. Maybe
Yeah,
she was a
something.
chocolate
She
girl.
was a waitress
It was weird. It was
Remember
really.
chocolate.
It made me really.
because you guys thought it
uncomfortable.
was Gwen Stefani for a second. but it
Yes,
wasn't.
I did. Well, yes, I did. I thought
Was
Gwen
not.
Stefani would. Yes,
Yes.
correct.
So like
I mean,
all
that's
of
all
his,
real history. I mean, on top of that, I was like, I think I shouted it out that I was like, Hollywood Babylon coming in. And I don't know if it's written into the book. I haven't finished reading the whole thing, but I mean, people also talk about that book being complete bullshit and all those being just total rumors, tabloid stories that Anger basically made up. But it's interesting how it seems like, at least, and especially right now when we have all these crazy stories coming out of the woodwork right now about the inner workings of Hollywood and the government and all the stuff that's going on underneath the surface. It's going on back then too, probably just as much, if not more so. And those people like Charlie Chaplin and Fatty Arbuckle, and I don't know if Buster Keaton exhibited too much
Probably.
deviant behavior, but I do certainly know that Charlie Chaplin was married to I don't know if he
16.
groomed. I don't know if he groomed the girl that he ended up marrying, or if he was like dating her and then just married her when she turned 18 or even earlier. I don't
No, she
remember
was
exact
younger.
specifics. It was crazy though.
She's definitely younger than 18 when they were together, at the very least.
funny enough, a coworker was asking me, do you guys know who Aaliyah is?
But yeah,
The R&B singer who died.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely as music.
My coworker was asking about her at work the other day, and I was doing some Googling, and I was like, oh yeah, she was married to R. Kelly, and then I looked into
She was
it.
14.
And he got sued, arrested, whatever, because when she was 15, he had somebody in the government make a fake ID for her so that he could marry her. Fucking crazy.
Dude, do you know that song "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number"?
Yeah, that was like one of her hits.
She was 14 when she recorded that
Okay. That's awful.
on a record produced by R. Kelly.
But Howard Hughes exhibits the same behaviors, so what are we even talking about?
Howard Hughes
I feel
rush
like that's not,
over
they
it.
do not hold on that for a long time, but in a way, I feel like that's almost part of the reason why they want you to feel more empathy for him. So they're like, let's just go over this. Like, let's not hover on this point too hard.
And he made sure to make the least casual mentioning of it horrifying
Yeah.
in the 2 scenes that it is relevant. 3 scenes.
She
And
tries
the
to
scene
hit him
where
with
she
her car.
hits, Ava Gardner with
And
the
And
car.
there's the
doesn't
scene
try.
when they go to dinner, and it's very clear that it's uncomfortable to everyone.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
And then that's when Alec Baldwin walks to the table, and he's like, "You ready to go to war with
that,
me?"
and then he's being all weird with her too.
Yeah.
God, so gross.
Everybody, yeah, it's just gross. And Danny Houston's at the table, and whoever Danny Houston's lady friend is, I don't
Can't
think it's
remember.
anybody important.
I can't remember.
I don't think she's in the movie again. But
I barely remember who Danny Houston was in the movie.
I don't
he
know who
was
Danny
like
Houston
his-
is.
he was like a part of the development team. He wasn't
Opie?
He wasn't Odie,
Odie.
which was Matt Ross, who is amazing in the movie. Forgot about him.
Odie does
He
great.
might be on par with Adam Scott as that heat check just coming in.
Ian Holmes good too. I don't know.
Yeah,
if we
he's
specifically
too silly.
referenced him.
He's
He
a
is
little too silly. It's just like, what are you
Is
doing?
that the weatherographer? Withographer?
The meteorologist.
Not withographer.
No, meteorologist from now on. Anyway,
He's like Odie's partner.
Yeah.
They're the two that like work together. I think Danny Houston might be the money or the like producer almost, whatever
Yeah.
it is. But I guess what do you want to get more in depth about? Like all the Hell's Angels stuff was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And this is Scorsese's first time making a movie about movies.
So we hadn't talked about that at all. So that's
And I think you can feel the love and the thrill in those scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you can make arguments that he's made movies about movies inadvertently through
course.
metaphor and
100%
using
of the
other
time.
things
Every director
as the
does.
thing. Right. But I think maybe the closest argument you could make is canned comedy. But I think that's way more specific to the media and mass media, you know?
Definitely. This is his first time unabashedly, like, a part of the plot is movies. And then he does it again with Hugo.
Filmmaking specifically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that this is when the first 20 minutes, which I couldn't believe was just 20 minutes. It felt like it had to have been longer because so much happens. It goes over the 2-year production of Hell's Angels in 20 minutes. It's that fast montage. It's got that everything feels alive and frantic, and it's like making movies.
Well, I always
all those
think
plane scenes are incredible, and Leo's firing on full cylinders from frame one.
If anything, it makes perfect sense that Scorsese takes this project on, given that it's using a metaphorical character to take the place of a filmmaker, the determined, ambitious guy who is this aviator who has all these separate things outside of all the movie stuff, but then also in turn has a whole plot of his narrative that involves filmmaking. So he's on top of being like a real engineer and like a real aviator, he's also a filmmaker, just casually. That works for him pretty well.
Literally does it twice, and it goes great.
And I think that there's like great scenes in this that exemplify like what filmmaking is, and like especially how
its ridiculous extremes, but still capturing the truth in it.
I don't know how true this idea is, but I think about the fact that it's like if film wasn't around, what would people who make movies like Martin Scorsese do? Like if they're still born, they're still on this earth, but film isn't a thing, movies aren't real. What are they doing instead now? They're probably all like inventors of some kind. Okay. Well, there's the spectrum.
And then playwrights or directors. They would be theater or murderers or
like all the fucking things that you can't get through your art.
Exactly.
But regardless, the idea that like he's sitting up like that one scene where he's got the planes flying and he's like, I can't understand how fast they're flying. Like, what is going on? Like, he literally doesn't understand.
Like when you're
why.
up there, it feels like you're going a million miles an hour.
Obviously, this should translate. I mean, we're still in sort of the infancy of filmmaking at the time.
Yeah.
So, like, they're literally learning.
There's not even sound yet.
Problem solving, literally figuring these things out. We need clouds. Like, this is important. And then the moment they show the scene where they film clouds is like one of the most epic moments in the movie.
Incredible
seeing all the planes up in the sky and everything, even though that it's the modern day version of what was going on at the time, as opposed to seeing Howard Hughes dailies. It still looks better even in the movie that they end up filming too. So,
which I mean, and those scenes were crazy
Dude,
looking. From the actual Hell's Angels.
In my head, I was like, is he gonna be from like the plane, directing from the plane, or is this just like a choreographed?
He was.
And then it shows him in the plane standing up, fucking giving hand signals and screaming
with one of those not a megaphone.
Yeah, but like what was before the megaphone, just like that cone.
That cone.
Screaming and like directing, and you can see like the cameras that are on top of the planes, and it looked so badass.
And then one gets broken off, and he immediately whips a camera out of nowhere and starts filming himself
with his own hands. It's just like that. God damn it!
In the
like
trenches.
This is what I imagine filming like an epic movie would be like, and this was like still in the earliest days of cinema. That's amazing.
Though, I do think it's interesting that the movies themselves in real life, Hell's Angels and The Outlaw, do have very poor reviews.
Poor reviews, but they were hits at the time.
They were hits, like, on a box office.
I want to see it.
Stuff.
I really want to see it.
I am curious about Hell's Angels for sure.
Yeah.
And The Outlaw seems like it might be a bit of a slog.
Yeah, but I'm still a little curious. I mean, that's
as a
more
Hawks
about,
nut, too.
more about boobs than anything.
Okay, can we talk about that scene?
Yeah.
Because that scene is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in any of Scorsese's
Hughes
movies.
versus the MPAA board. Or the motion, I guess, yeah.
Like,
no,
let's
MPAA
take
board.
this to 11, sure, and just I'm gonna have an array of breasts like
from movies
blown up on big giant poster boards from all these movies that this guy approved, and he's gonna show them all to him in front
Be
of
like,
us.
what's the difference?
Yeah, show me the difference.
Let my movie.
Tell me what about those mammaries?
Yep, they kept saying
the mammary.
The memory.
the size of this cleavage is the same as this cleavage. When he throws Ian Holmes on the spot, he's like,
Oh
the
yeah, and he's just like, you're
professor.
the professor at the school as this thing. He's like, do
He's doing a horrible job. He's literally
so
shaking
bad,
his head
dude.
no.
But out from his back pocket, guess what he's got? A titty measurer.
Oh yeah, he's like
So-
that's all he needed to make it happen. He's like,
Titty
just walk
measure.
over to all the boobs and put them by the boobs.
So
And just exemplify they're all the same.
Yes.
they're all memories and they're all exposed. So don't talk about my exposed memories, please.
So he fucking, I guess that it's like both are crazy, tumultuous processes, though we don't see any of the filming of The Outlaw, correct? It's just we see.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
we see his
we-
dailies in the editing.
No, we get nothing.
But we know it's just as tumultuous in a different way as Hell's Angels was, and it shows this person who's like, I will do whatever it takes. I will pay whatever I have to do. I will talk to whoever I have to do. I'll wait as long as I have to. And he gets through both somehow unscathed, even though everybody at some point is just like, you're a madman. What are you doing?
I think to the both of the movies that he ends up making show the different crazy sides of him.
The planes and the women.
you got the
Straight up.
You got the aviator side, the philanthropist, like I'll spend whatever, like I don't care. And then you have the more political side that you see play out towards the end, where he's like, all right, like fuck it, like I will go and I will have these hearings and I will have these trials. Like nothing
think
on
about
this
that.
planet will stop me from doing what I want to do. And you think about it, throughout this whole movie, I don't think there's any other Scorsese character with more autonomy than we visually see with Howard Hughes. Whereas like he doesn't do anything that anybody else wants him to do. Like it's all on his own accord. Even if he gets
That's
suggested,
interesting.
he's like, no, fuck you. And then he sits there and he's like, it's probably right deal. But I wanted to do it myself. So I'm gonna go do it myself.
Him and maybe Jesus, actually. Like I know
No,
that
he-
he's,
I mean, he
he's the
gets-
God's will.
No, he gets taunted by Satan the whole movie. Fucking dumbass.
but he still has pretty good autonomy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel.
Howard
like it
Hughes
to
gets
him.
taunted
I
by his
mean,
own psychology.
Choosing to live over dying, I feel like is the ultimate autonomy
Is
that
that,
you can produce.
is that the theme of Scorsese's whole thing?
You're your own
It's-
downfall.
Yeah, right, but the search for autonomy, the search for making your own decisions, whether
Right.
they're good or bad.
But the
Maybe.
thing that is his ultimate downfall at every part of the movie, it's something that he can't control. Like even the shit with the court at the end, he ends up being able to control that. That's not something out of his hands.
Mhm.
It's
And
crazy.
even with the plane crash, he recovers. But it's like when his OCD gets the best of him is when he's in his ultimate. Like there's nothing he can do. He can't control that.
Can we talk about? I meant to bring this up a second ago when
The
it was a
pee?
little more natural. No, before the P. That the Michael Mann version of this movie would have been awful.
Oh yeah.
As much as I
man.
love Michael Mann and everything about
all the
him,
music choices would have been garbage.
and they were brilliant here. And yeah, just like everything would have been overwrought or like way too serious,
Yeah.
way too dramatic. This movie feels like it's pitch and perfect.
you said it would have been the beta Public Enemies if that's
Yep,
you know
it would have been. It
indicator.
would have been that treatment.
Michael
and
Mann
that's
is-
one of his weakest efforts.
He's all about the process, and that's what we love about him. And I feel
course.
like if you tried to go through the processes with Howard Hughes, you would just end up making a movie that had no direction, you know?
This movie has a heart to it. At the
Yes.
end of the day,
Yeah.
like Scorsese's clearly beating in tandem with Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Michael Mann would not have been able to do that.
It would have just been a very different movie.
Of course, I think it would have been a bad movie.
Probably not great. No.
Not this.
No,
Not as good
certainly
as
not.
this. Like almost impossible.
He would have
to
been in his
imagine.
digital phase at this point, man.
Oh my god! And this movie, no, this movie's literally gorgeous.
He makes Collateral instead.
Good,
Yeah, I know.
literally good call, Mike. Like you did the right thing.
But he's still involved a little bit. Howard Hughes, he had some drive that I just was really attracted to.
Yeah, no, we know, Mike. Get out of here. Go sit down. Grandpa.
Fine, I'll do that.
Go make Collateral. Okay, the big boys with guns. Okay, buddy, go on.
What?
Collateral.
You need me to direct a movie?
No, not you, David.
No, Scorsese.
That sounds like David.
David sounds like this.
Okay, you're right.
Wow, your voice. I can hear it. I can hear it so clearly. Wow. Oh my God.
That's pretty good.
What?
That's
For somebody
pretty
who's
good.
never seen Twin Peaks, only in a passing clip and
Yeah.
a compilation.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Not hard to do David Lynch.
No.
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
Let's talk like this.
Yes.
No, that was actually really bad. Hold on. The thing about fish.
Yes.
That was
You
better.
just have to look. You have to look at an idea and you have to see Laura. She's here.
No,
Not your
roll
best.
roll around on the ground and do that. Come on, scream for me.
Cry for
Scream, cry.
me. Cry for me.
Cry. Yes, roll around on the ground, do that more.
There's not a lot of crying in this movie. but there's a lot of almost crying.
Not really.
All of the crying is very like.
Dude, those scenes where he's locked up in the screening room.
All right, we can talk about this. We're jumping all over the place. Let's do it. Screening room. That how long was that? 10 minutes? 20 minutes?
It felt longer than that.
I think it's supposed to. I don't know if it literally was though.
Well, he talks to Katharine Hepburn. He talks to Alec Baldwin.
And that's it. And
Those are
then
those
there's-
two
and then
extended
it's,
scenes.
him roaming around in there. I think this. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick sidetrack and then I'm coming back to this room. I think this might be Scorsese's best paced movie, and I think it nails the biopic thing because he seems to do this thing where it's like if a single scene can carry on toward the larger metaphor of everything about Hughes's life, he lets it play out for a long time. Like the scene in the screening room when he's locked himself there. It's like this shows his disintegration, which really takes place more later in life, but it's relevant here. And we see this whole side of him and we get to intensely focus, even though not that much time actually passes. And when things are very important, like in Hughes's life, like the Hells Angels stuff, it's done more in a montage flow where he quickly gets through the informational bits, but he lingers and expands on these bringing the essence of character.
Yeah, he
like the whole
focuses on
date,
the human
like
moments.
the date with Hepburn, like the extended date. Don't they do golf, dinner, and then the plane? Even though they're 3 different times,
Yeah.
but they do them one after the other.
Yeah.
And it
They
shows
really
this
drive-
evolving
yeah.
relationship
Yes.
pretty efficiently, but he's also spending a lot of time at each of those.
Right.
So it combines that montage and character. God, this movie, you guys. I
It
just
does a good
fucking love
job.
it.
And I think it's important that that no other female in the movie gets the attention that Hepburn gets.
Beckinsale starts to at some point, but it's definitely not nearly
It
as
wavers
much.
too much.
Yeah.
But I
She's
think
not
it's
as
also
constant.
But it's the same thing. Hughes is always Hepburn's the ideal,
Right.
and everything after her is not as good. You know.
Yeah.
So Ava Gardner's not, because that's we talked about how he treats Hepburn so well, he treats her exactly how he should be treating everybody else, and yet with Ava Gardner, it's leave one bug, leave it on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's why, what, why, her,
Because paranoid.
Yeah, well, that shit is all done.
That is
real
something
well.
pretty much every Scorsese man either can't get the girl or he gets the girl and he's just a fucking weirdo.
Pretty
It's
much.
just be normal, bro.
And then
You
if he has him and he's normal, he's cheating on her and being an asshole. in
all
some
you
way.
do is you have a lot of money. That is all you are.
Oh man.
They all fall
why do
into
he keep making
it.
movies? Do people need to make more than one movie ever?
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely got some good ones
I
across
mean,
multiple platforms.
I guess so. That's a good point. Whatever. But the screening room, DiCaprio's highlight of acting,
That's up there. There's no doubt about it.
convincing.
I thought the scene in the
Horrifying?
bathroom
Oh,
that mirrors the equivalent to the Wolf of Wall Street car Quaalude
yeah,
scene when he doesn't have.
He uses all the towels when washing his hands.
Oh,
and
because
has
he's
the
got blood and he's got a white and he's getting it more and the stain's getting bigger and bigger. It's
Yeah.
dude, what the fuck are you doing?
and then he can't open the door without.
And just stands by the door.
So then he waits. It definitely has that comedic timing that comes. It's probably one of the few true blue comedic moments in the movie.
See, it was weird.
But I don't think it's
and it's
supposed
also
to play as
horrifying.
funny.
Yeah,
It's supposed to
half
be
of me was
scary.
laughing because it was funny, and then the other half of me was literally feeling so bad. I was like, "You're trapped in there, buddy."
Yeah.
That is the
'Cause
definition
that shit is very real
of
to
making
him.
your own prison. That sucks. I'm sorry,
It's very sad. It's very disappointing.
but the execution was funny. I could see I'm singing the comedic chops that this boy has to work with, and I'm excited to see him flush them out.
I think that it definitely takes old. I mean, this goes for every aspect of the movie. It takes a lot of old school, technicalities to it. It feels like there's a lot of silent film bits in the movie, kind of like that scene. Even though it's not silent, but he's doing it's physical comedy, but we can't be removed from the reality of the situation, right? But then take even sweeping Technicolor epics, or even he was his own movies, apparently, assumingly from the footage we do see. Scorsese's really trying to tackle the old school feel here too, most directly. Since New York, New York, why they're the most similar.
Well, I thought about that, and I mean, like they have like those big parties, like the one where he's
Yeah,
flirting
all
with the
of them are
girl. It
crazy.
feels very similar to New York, New York.
Richardson's best thing. Come on, nobody denied me. Nobody endorsed me.
I don't love everything about it,
What?
but I also love the attempt and the ideas so much behind it. I just think that the greens looked a little too weird. Like I get the idea of what they were going for, but it felt too synthetic. And they're shooting on film. It's like that the 2-strip Technicolor process being done digitally is interesting because I know that's like the first time that they tried that, or one of the first times that was tried with digital editing, or something like that. But I just think that ends up making for a more synthetic look as opposed to something that's purely 2-strip Technicolor. But I mean, I guess that just comes back to the idea of you can't actually do it unless you do it. But simultaneously, I love the aesthetic for the movie itself, and I think it looks super, super, super good. And I think that those green, like almost like blue teal greens that end up washing out in the color of this movie just sort of pop in a way that all the other colors don't, that feels too weird. Like that specific color is always like, what the fuck? Like it looks weird. But like I still love it because I love the idea.
I did think the greens were like a minty green, like they're very bright.
What do you like more
than this? As far as his cinematography? I mean, like I think Casino is still the Mac Daddy, or JFK. Those two are generally like the big ones in my head when it comes to Richardson. But I mean, this is still up there as far as, and it's definitely his most experimental.
Yeah, I think that's what really did it for me. Honestly, we have the same moment happening again that happens in all of them. The when the woman, the ideal moment. With the halo light in the
plane,
quiet.
right?
Yep. Do we is this the best he's done romance actually?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like in her authentically, I'm
feeling some romance off of it.
Yes.
Authentically.
I think it's the most authentic form of romance that we've seen. Besides, I guess you could say, Age of Innocence,
but even that feels like a little like I don't. It's something about Day-Lewis's performance in that just doesn't give me that emotional oomph.
Yeah, it's the most conventional.
DiCaprio would have been great in that.
Oh. It is the most conventional romance movie that we have seen up until this point, though. But this is the most authentic form of romance that I've seen in the Sassy so far, where it's just like this.
Not
feels,
including the 15-year-old.
No. I mean, really, pretty much with just
Katharine Hepburn.
Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah,
it just seemed like very authentic, and it seemed like watching these two people grow together and like reveal each other, and then ultimately falling apart because Hollywood.
Everything else,
the scene at the house.
Everything else seems desperate after. But that seems genuinely romantic. The scene at the house with the Hepburn clan.
Yes, the Hepburn family and her ex-husband.
Yeah,
the worst.
My girlfriend's boyfriend. It
like
was
straight
that
is straight up almost a like conventional mid-2000s rom-com like setup. Like we're going to meet the parents. Like
and my ex is here.
And Owen Wilson is here.
Yeah,
he literally did meet the parents. God. Where was Bobby? Why didn't he cast Bobby?
That would have been hilarious.
God damn it.
Definitely a stressful scene, and I'm not going to lie, I was 100% on Howard's side with that.
Yeah.
Nobody was letting him talk. Nobody cared.
He
was also deaf, and
they were all
Kathy
being very
wasn't doing a good job to fucking make him comfy.
No one, everyone, I feel like
You're different in there.
I feel like the problem with Howard is that everyone's like, Howard, you're deaf, and no one's ever,
that gets in his way so often.
And no one's ever just like, hey, Howard, you're having a really hard time hearing. Let's get you some help. They're always just like saying it and passing it like as a joke. And he's always just like, fuck you. No, I'm not.
Like at the court scene toward the end when Alan Alda makes that snide remark at the beginning. He's like, I know everybody in this room knows I'm deaf, so we don't need to talk about it or something like that.
Yeah. It's good.
And everybody laughs. He gets a laugh.
He gets a lot of laughs in that court scene.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the court scene?
Yeah, it's fucking good.
Couldn't believe it.
Nah.
You went back, and we saw that when Alec Baldwin approaches him in the screening room, there was still 40 minutes left.
30. There was 30 minutes left.
40.
It was 40? 40. Damn, son.
Almost 40. It's like 38. It was closer to 40 to 30.
That's crazy.
But that means that court scene lasts like 20 solid minutes.
Yeah.
At least. And it feels like a big set piece.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Alan Alda bring the heat. They're
Absolutely.
going back and forth.
They go
quip after
at
quip.
it.
Is that not just like the essence of? And I feel like Scorsese does kind of tone it down a bit filmically, other than the start of it when he's like walking through the crowd and he sees his reflection in the camera and he's bouncing his leg like crazy. Once they get going, it feels like it's almost just like, look at Leo, look at Alan. Like, let these two boys go at it. Am I wrong? Am I misremembering?
Is filmically a word?
I used to use it all the time. I don't care.
Okay.
We invent words all the time.
Bushisms. Got it. But if you want to talk about the court scene, the transition between being in the screening room versus cleaning himself up and going to the court, I feel like
with help from Beckinsale
is like the example if you want to talk about Leo showing range in one movie, because he's like going absolutely off his shit and like absolutely crazy inside of this room, and then a couple scenes later you see him responding with like full mental capacity to Alan Alda, just like, no dude, fuck you, like, you know, the contracts that I had are the same as like 50 other 1,000 contracts that you're not doing shit about.
Which is insane.
Which is crazy. Like, the US spent a lot of money on planes they never got.
This definitely feels actually pretty similar to Casino too, now that I think about it.
You talked about that
Vindictive?
at the time, too.
Like
The grand sweeping scope.
Like, well, the vindictive stuff too, and even the characters Ace and Howard feel not too far off from one another. Just like, I'm a businessman. Also, Liz loves stuff. I would like that too, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. But then also the
buy you
like
things.
the involving politics, involving this larger scope of like beyond the
You don't know
individual
what
thing.
you're dealing with.
Yeah. I think it's done better here personally, but we don't need to dig back into that. Yeah. Well, the only other things we haven't really touched on, I guess, is the like him building stuff for the army and not succeeding. And even that, even though he literally doesn't do it, it still doesn't even feel like a total failure. But that is a part of the fall after the crazy ass plane crash.
It's a highlight, man.
Everything. When he's spitting out blood, he tries to leave, and it's just like, ah! It's like, holy fuck.
You know, weird that
Movie went to 20.
I thought that Leo this whole time exuded a lot of real young Tom Cruise energy, like 86 to 87 Tom Cruise, like right at
Top
the
Gun and
peak
Color
of his
Money.
powers, like, you know, super young, super feisty. He's got that energy.
Charismatic, good acting, can carry a movie. Handsome.
Goes into Born on the 4th of July.
Who's more handsome? Young and
DiCaprio.
current? Yeah, it's DiCaprio.
Tom Cruise is scary looking to me, like on all fronts.
It's a smile.
Yeah.
It's devilish.
It really is. But that's what's also so good about Tom. What we love about Tom.
Love it for acting, hate it for look.
Yes, definitely.
I don't got a lot else I need to say, I feel like.
I mean, the movie slaps.
Well, we talk about
all slaps.
Well, what about Sassy? How do we feel he does
Sassy. He's
throughout
finding
the
out
entire movie?
I think he cracked the code on something that he's been trying to perfect. I think he literally did. I think The Aviator might be my new gold standard for all biopics.
I mean, it's up there. I just feel like the fact that Scorsese does this movie like in a way that's big and loud, but simultaneously still reserved and, you know, not distracting, where I feel like his style and his presence is overpowering the movie. It doesn't at all. Like, if anything, Scorsese is perfectly blending in with the idea that he's just making this movie and he's letting it be what it needs to be. But simultaneously, it's still a biopic, so it still works within the constraints of all the things that you have to in a biopic setting, which like intrinsically I don't like, but still, I think he does basically all you can with also making something pretty conventional simultaneously.
What you guys are describing about this is literally what I like about Kundun.
Yeah.
What I literally like about Kundun. It's only about like a chunk, a specific point of this man's life.
Yeah.
You're getting this, and then he's sort of just letting this movie flow the way that it needs to and trying to tell the story the most authentically the way that he can.
Felt like I learned who Howard Hughes was.
It definitely feels a little bit more stylish with Kundun, though, with just the way I feel like if he didn't make it a little bit stylish, it would be a more boring watch, a little bit of a harder watch, because it's a mostly political movie. But I don't know, just like when I'm thinking about if this is a biopic, because like I don't know, I guess it's just like hard to tell, you know, like all movies are about somebody, so it's just like whether it's real, it's real or not. And I guess,
correct.
but if you're making a movie about it, it's already not real.
This movie is more naturally keyed to Scorsese's sensibilities and his interests and
obviously.
obsessions
Yeah.
and his
And
personal.
He has more going on than the Dalai Lama
A
does.
filmmaker philanthropist versus the Dalai Lama.
Right.
This definitely falls in line with Sassy more.
But also to lump back to the Kundun episode, I think Kundun should have had the length that this movie had,
Yes.
and then I probably would like it equally as much.
Yes. But and of course he gets the funding for something like Aviator.
Yeah.
He had the ending. We gotta talk about the ending. The most
Oh, the best
perfect
part of the
ending
movie?
ever.
Yeah.
And even while it was happening, we were all like, I don't even know if this is that great. And then that final moments
Yep.
carried us to just like glory almost.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
perfect.
holy
It's a coda.
fuck. How
You
did
didn't
you
need
do
it. You could have ended the movie right on the close up of the eyes, which
super
Scorsese has
zoom.
done so many times. Like I need somebody to do a super cut of all the Scorsese
The
close ups
eyes.
on the character's eyes. It happens in all of them at least a few times.
Almost, if not.
But you have
literally.
your ending. You have your conventional happy ending. That's where the movie should
he
end.
did the plane.
But hey, this movie's directed by Martin Scorsese. God damn it.
So you need to remember what.
So you got to know what it's all about at the very end. And I think that this is not only like the perfect way that they could have ended the movie, but I also think in the lexicon of Scorsese's endings, this is one of his best.
I 100% agree, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's.
And DiCaprio sells it so well.
This way of future. Way of the future.
the way of the future.
The way of the
After
future.
having
The way of the future.
the highest of highs, the plane took off. People are excited for him. He's already talking about the next project, and all it takes
Jets.
is one thing to trigger him.
That scene is so authentically scary.
Yep. He
Like,
just
it's-
sees some guys looking at him, and then
It's
he
all it
goes,
took.
"Do those guys work for me?" Something he's done throughout the movie,
Yeah.
like 20 times. Like, who's that person? What
Mhm.
do they work for me? And finally, John C. Reilly gives the chilling, "Everyone works for you."
The Shining.
It did feel like
It
The
literally
Shining.
felt like The Shining to me.
Ugh. It
But we talked about The Shining a couple of times because the bathrooms too
Yeah.
were very reminiscent of how
Yes.
Kubrick filmed the bathrooms in the show. And then we talked about how every scene in a bathroom is so menacing. None of them are like
'Cause
just
you're not
casual and
safe.
blasé. So of course you make it look like you put the framework of The Shining into the movie because The Shining is literally one of the top 10 like most popular movies in pop culture like of all
Somehow.
time. So fucking everybody and their mother just knows that. So you just see any set design or production design that resembles that to any degree and that automatically triggers that thought, automatically triggers, oh, that's creepy.
I
That's
think-
weird, unsettling.
I think
Good
this
shit,
might
Scorsese.
be up to this point, and it makes sense why it would, but be his most mature, clearly defined mature work.
Oh yeah.
I think this feels like the Marty that locks in for the next decade and leads us to Irishman, where it feels
Absolutely.
like he almost leveled up again. But this is the movie that feels like a level up.
It
Like,
almost feels like the perfect middle between the old man and the young boy.
Yeah.
Like he does all of it in one
he
movie.
keeps the
Yeah, I
energy.
like that idea. I hadn't thought about
He keeps
that.
the energy of the young man, but he has the skills and the knowledge of a master to just like get the thing
Yeah.
done how it needs to be done. Like all these little things. Like it sounds like in the way we've talked about it, jumping all over the place, talking about different elements sporadically, it sounds like this hodgepodge mess of a movie that's all over the place, like New York, New York, which that movie, even though I feel strongly about it, is a hodgepodge mess of a movie. I like its messiness. The Aviator is not messy even slightly. It is so
Yeah, it's
clearly focused and so like hitting the bullseye, just like Scorsese, like not even looking like, I know how to make a fucking movie. This is how you make a fucking movie. Amazing.
I can't remember
Literally
where
amazing.
I heard this
One of his
quote.
best jobs directing
I'm
with
with
a
you on that.
capital D.
I'm with you on that. I'm not sure if this where I heard this quote or because for some reason it's triggering that it's Scorsese who said it, but I'm not positive. So
Okay.
if it's not him. I don't know, but I think this quote exists. That it just in general, this is a quote that the best movies are not the movies in which you remember everything that happened to the beat. It's the movies where you remember moments where you go, remember that, remember that, remember that, remember that, remember that, remember that, remember that. Those are the best movies. And
Yeah.
for some reason, and I can't remember what the context of that quote was, but I'm pretty positive Scorsese is the one who said that.
I've definitely heard him say something like all great movies have 3 memorable scenes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's like you shouldn't be running down the plot. You should be running down the little moments that you remember.
And that's what this is. Because
Yeah.
there's so much shit we didn't even begin to touch upon.
Well, I
Like,
think-
honestly.
I think
You
that
literally can't.
I think that's what I like about it is that it's working within the constraints of the biopic, which pulls it back no matter what a little bit to me, but simultaneously it's forcing you to ignore that by focusing so much on the character and who he is. And that's part of why I like when you brought up the Kundun thing, I was like, I didn't feel like I got to know the Dalai Lama by the time the movie ended in the same way I felt like I got to know Howard Hughes.
But there's nothing to know about the Dalai Lama because he's an idea, not a person. Blah.
Okay, but still,
I
you
know,
could say
I
the same
agree.
thing about Christ, but I feel like even Jesus Christ has more like of a character than the Dalai Lama does by the end of Kundun.
Dalai Lama's real. Jesus is fake.
Yes.
Okay, but still.
I know. I agree. Are we getting blunt? Sounds like we're getting blunt.
I'd say it's time to get blunt.
I think we're there.
All right. Well.
It's definitely in the canon, I think.
Whoa.
Oh. I don't think we're gonna. I'm not disputing that.
I know you're not. I don't think you are.
In the canon, it's just been so long. I don't think anything belongs anymore.
What? Okay, hold on. What do we get? You jump to the last part. What do you give it? What is your grade?
I think I'm
How you
at 4
feel?
out of 5 with it. I think it's just like, because to me, a 4 out of 5 doesn't, because it's like the movie itself is like not necessarily one that I'm going to jump to all the time, I don't think. But maybe I will. It's just a matter of thinking and time. We just talked about this, all three of us, that all of our Scorsese lists, the top like 7 are so interchangeable. Like even number 1 and 2 to me right now feel like they could bounce back and forth. Like, I don't know. Like all of them have weird different things. And I think it's because we're watching all of them the way we're watching them that I'm feeling so conflicted on how to actually rank them, because he does so many things the same over and over again, but he also evolves things so much and he also retools things so often that it's tough to actually decipher what is my preferred version. But that's what I'm saying, is like I don't take away anything from the quality and the merits of the movie. Like it's a pretty perfectly made movie for what it is. It's just there's something about it that doesn't give me the same as like even The Color of Money or After Hours or.
But then you think it's still canon worthy?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I think it's also one of his most important movies, even just in the value of it's his first movie that's directly about movies alone.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna plop.
And if it's a for DiCaprio.
I think I'm gonna plop this one in between King of Comedy and Bringing Out the Dead. So
God, it better be higher than Bring Out the Dead.
So it doesn't. It doesn't. It won't be in the top. It's in the top 10. It's not in the top 5. Giving it a 4.5 because the movie does slap. I think it's great. I don't know what my criteria for a full 5er is just yet, but I feel like I always feel it, you know. But I feel like this movie has
You
come.
gotta feel it.
I feel like this movie has come the closest to like being a 5er without giving me that 5-star feeling. Where I was just like the whole movie, I was like, "This is fucking great." Like I love this. This slaps. Like this is dope. I really enjoyed it. I think Leo's doing great. I'm excited to see more of him. And you know, I just feel like I was on point when I said after watching Kundun, like I believe in Sassy, and like he has not disappointed me yet, man. He keeps rolling with the punches. So I'm ready to pack the con Howard out of the deported. I would induct this in the canon. It's worthy.
So there you have it, folks. Since Goodfellas.
I am inducting this in the canon as well. I think this is a 5-star movie, legitimately, and it's definitely my second favorite so far.
Oh yeah,
behind the good old Goodfellas.
We love to hear that. Scorsese does too.
I was not expecting that, and actually, it's gonna take a lot for The Departed to fuck up and not be the movie that I've seen 50 times. I think this is gonna be the only decade I have 2 5-star Scorseses.
Woohoo!
To spoil that, it's not a spoiler. I bring it up.
We
all
talk
the time.
about The Departed a lot.
I fucking love The Departed
Because you're a sailor peg who lost his leg.
It's gonna have to do a lot to make me change that, but. And, like, you know, there's the part in my head, in the back of my head, I'm like, if we just inducted the Aviator, I'm going to have a harder time convincing you guys The Departed. But I literally loved this movie, and I am very excited to watch it again. And I don't care if Departed doesn't even make it, if the Aviator does. So that is our first time in a long time.
Ew.
I added it to my little note. Keeping up to date.
Hell yeah.
And that's Aviator, baby.
That's the way of the future.
Way of the future. Way of the future. So, biographical pictures. You know, we already have very firmly established this is not new territory for the Sess, and he definitely outdid himself here. It seems to be pretty much consensus, at least in this specific regard. And we've definitely talked about how we're not the biggest stands of the biopicture.
Jesse
I have definitely
and Frank are not the biggest stands of the biopic.
I being Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon, and I can't really tell, you know. if it's like a bio picture, you know.
I have claimed even on this podcast that they shouldn't exist at all. Everything should be fictitious. But if there could be a biopic that does not exist yet, what would you guys want? What is something that you do want to see? And maybe this could help talk about what we do and don't like once again, because maybe you've never listened before. And hello, welcome, thanks for listening this far in.
Yeah, for real. On the Aviator too.
Yeah, cool.
All episodes.
Tell me how much you love it as well.
Planes,
Okay, but yes, biopic.
planes,
You say
work,
plane?
and the love of art. The life and story of Hayao Miyazaki.
Okay.
I would love a Miyazaki biopic. Just like, how did we get here?
In the style
Didn't
of like
he
an
make it?
Ozu film. Indirectly.
No, it was the documentary that you're talking
The
about?
Wind Rises.
No, that's not about him. That's a
No.
literal biopic.
That is
of
a biopic.
real
I
person.
I know,
You son of a bitch.
but it's about.
But it's about him. It straight up is his most revealing naked film. But I could see that. I feel like the Ozu cold, detached vibe to see this, it would almost be like the inverse of the Aviator.
My life is
Bro.
awful.
Look at this genius running around, but instead of being like, I'm rampant manic, he'd just be quiet, like, not good enough. Keep drawing.
We can do better.
This
we
is
can do
shit.
better. We can do better.
Miyazaki's a very famous, like, asshole, but he's so mild-mannered and chill.
And
Yeah.
he just makes like the most beautiful shit. It's like, what the
Usually
fuck?
for children. Like, what an odd, contrasting life he literally
Yeah.
leads.
I think
he-
about that same thing with John Ford.
And he has
his
a
personality, versus movies.
Tormented relationship with his own children.
And you know, something that I
Didn't know
always-
about that.
And
His son has been like, he doesn't love me. He literally only loves movies, and he does not care.
which is
about
why
me.
his son became a director and
Yep.
an animator.
He was like,
Literally
I just want my dad to respect me.
something, anything. And his dad didn't even like his first
Yeah,
movie.
he's like, it's fine.
It was honest. That's what he said. He said it was an honest movie.
Well, hey, that's all you can ask for.
I mean, I'm sure in Japan, I'm sure his son was like, fucking finally, something.
It's horror. It's
So
sad.
I feel like a
Real
biopic,
sad.
because what I always want to know, you know, 'cause they say you never meet your heroes, and that's for a good reason. It's because
Right.
no one wants to realize that the people that they
Idolize
idolize are real people who do fucked up shit, just like you probably did yesterday.
Right.
So, biopics have the chance. I mean, a lot of what happens, what I will say about biopics is that I think where they fall is that they try to gloss over some of the terrible things that these amazing people did, which is like the best biopic. The best biopics to me are like when they reveal to you like the terrible, like, oh shit, you kind of were a bad dude, but you did do these things that were inevitably good.
Even Aviator fucking glosses over it. Like,
Yeah.
the
Like
gold
really, they're just
standard
like,
even,
wait,
fuck.
he's sad. Remember that? So I would feel like it would, you know, shed light on like, you know, just any of Miyazaki's, you know, personality, because I feel like Western civilization has like a really different idea of him than like maybe Japan does, because I think Japan treats him a lot more like
A Disney.
like treats him a lot more like a sort of like a business as opposed to like this director and this filmmaker. So they're like Miyazaki.
You have all the Ghibli stuff and his competition with
Yeah.
Takahata. Is that his name?
Takahata.
Is that right? I'm gonna be so sad if it's just straight up not though.
It sounds right. At least the Taka part.
And now the internet's not loading just to fuck with me.
No, you'll
Right.
never know.
What happened? How do I refresh? Oh, here it is. That Takahata. But they had like a weird rivalry, and you can get into shit like that. That'd be cool.
So I
I-
feel like you could definitely shine a little bit of light on who Miyazaki is, because I will say, you know, watching his movies and then listening to a podcast that sort of went into the details and the backgrounds was able to assimilate a lot more of Miyazaki into the movies that I watched, which was like, I think more than like the general Western audience gets, and they have this sort of like fairy tale idea of like Ghibli in general, and like a good biopic would sort of shed some light on that and maybe even lead to further appreciation for his movies, not just on like the visual face value, because they do hold just like so much to real life. It's crazy how he does that.
Do you think an artist is inherently a more interesting subject for this type of thing? Jesse, is yours an artist?
Oh,
I would say
Mine is too.
I would say either an artist or honestly, someone involved with politics or something like that, where you can shed light on things
like
and
a
bring
Shakespearean
yeah,
tragedy.
and bring information. I feel
Like
like
W.
I feel like the least interesting ones are the ones about athletes. Like I don't care
Yeah.
about your story from rags to riches.
Yeah. And that
like,
seems to be the almost go-to.
That's because it's the easiest one. It's the most bankable one.
Well, it should be about the person. It shouldn't be about the
sport.
the job.
Yeah.
Even though there's some that are more interesting than others, but the character should also be just as interesting.
Jesse, what do you got?
I've always thought there should be a direct biopic about Sid Barrett that got produced.
Oh, that's
but
not who I thought you were going to say.
Who do you think I was going to say?
Sam Cooke.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, but that's not a biopic.
You're right.
The
That's like,
movie that I had always thought
you're
of
right.
in
You're
my
right.
head. But
Okay, so Sid Barrett, that's a great one.
But yeah, Sid Barrett is somebody who has the craziest of lives.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of their own inner psychology and like
Yeah.
what, well, I don't know if it
Who
was
plays
even
Sid?
drugs. I don't know. Like, I have no idea who
I
would
have
play
no
him.
idea.
Like, off the
Ezra
top.
Miller.
No.
No. I mean, he kind of has that look, but
I just thought of curly hair.
yeah, no, but I get that. I'd have to think for a little while. Andrew Garfield might be on them, and too old. Too old. Sid Barrett was young.
He's not proven he's a good actor. I just like
Barris
his look.
Dickerson.
He's the beach
Timmy?
rats.
Beach Rats.
kid.
Yeah.
He's just got
you
that
need
like
someone. You need a Brit.
soulless eyes.
You need
Timmy?
a
You
Brit.
do need a Brit. Wait, he is British, isn't he?
Oh, you're right. I forget that because that was part of the reason we were like, he's so
Or
good.
Dickinson, not Dickerson. Whatever the fuck I said.
But whatever it is, you need a Brit to
Oh,
do it.
I've cut the dickens out of my finger.
Yeah, he's London, England,
Sick.
Essex.
Fucking A. Okay. Well,
Latin
then maybe
stuff.
him.
I just
But-
think he's got those soulless eyes, which is like I feel like the key in at
Yeah,
least later
And
Barrett.
part of the Barrett thing. Well, I mean, like you could just do so much interesting visually with that movie, and I'm sure, like with the slow mental break that happens with Barrett, and on top of being in a like, it's so interesting that he takes the band where they end up becoming huge and famous after he's gone,
Right.
and like all the albums and stuff that they write after his departure from the band are basically all about what happened to Sid.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like what actually happened. It's like what happened to him. We don't know.
Shine On You Crazy Diamond is a song that I went to my I want to say junior, maybe sophomore year of high school. I went to a Pink Floyd Laser Light show.
Nice.
And I listened to Dark of the Moon.
Nope, you were right the first
Dark
time.
Side of the Moon. Fuck. I listened to Dark Side of the Moon like in one sitting on vinyl in my best friend's basement, high as fuck. It was just like this album was like so good. Pretty sure like every fucking
Everybody.
teenager stoner goes
Every
through at
stoner.
one point.
Piper
But I was
Against
at
the
this-
Dawn is OG.
I was at this laser light show and they had these crazy visuals and you could see the people. It was Brit Floyd, like the Pink Floyd cover band that,
Right, yeah.
that does this shit.
Mhm.
And Shine On You Crazy Diamond, after knowing the context of the song, literally brought me to tears.
Yeah.
Just like
It's
how
literally one of the most
amazing it
beautiful
is.
songs.
I don't
It's
know
ever
if it
made.
was Shine On You Crazy Diamond. I think it was that they were going into the studio to record that track, and they were like just setting up the instruments and everything to record, and they looked over into the mixing booth, and there was a guy just standing in there bald, jumping up and down, brushing his teeth with his finger. Like, who's that guy? I'm like,
Naked,
"That's
right?
Sid." No, he wasn't naked.
I thought he was naked.
I
No.
thought he was shirtless.
Maybe he had his shirt. I haven't heard that. I just heard there was a guy standing in
Maybe
the room,
not.
jumping up and down, bald, demented looking, with the brushing his teeth with his finger. And they were all like, "That's Sid," and they all collapsed into tears immediately, just at the thought that their friend, who was that close with them, is divulged into this world. And Sid Barrett lived a pretty long life, relatively, given the amount of shit that happened to him in his younger years. I'm pretty sure he died in 2006, and he goes off the deep end in 68. So
He did die in 2006.
that's crazy. He lived a long time as a recluse.
Who-
I mean, like, he has a solo career too. I always thought the great title for that movie would be The Madcap Laughs, because that's the name of his first solo record. But I think it, pretty much perfectly encapsulates in a small little phrase.
Who directs it?
Fuck, I have no idea.
Julie Taymor.
Oh,
Dude,
Jesus.
that'd be such a good biopic. You have to make it now.
Well, you just have to be able to do something way more on the psychological end with it. You'd have
Yes.
to really get into his headspace and
Yes.
use it almost like, I think you could, in theory, make a silent movie. Well, is that what The Wall is? I haven't seen The Wall. But I mean, is that all it is?
No, because that cares too much about the story of the wall.
Yeah,
and like
okay.
being
I know
a
Sid is
trippy
very
movie.
tied
He-
into that.
It's about him.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
yeah.
Like all of it is, like you said.
But
the artist who loses his mind.
But going through it with Sid as the actual protagonist,
Yeah.
and using his real history
And
to inform
making it
what's
more
going
grounded.
on. Yeah,
There's no part of the wall that is grounded.
Mhm.
It is just like, look at this.
yeah, and I don't know exactly what but I think there's a lot of possibilities what you could do with a Sid Barrett biopic.
10,000% agree. That's a great answer.
I'm glad to know that everyone likes it. Wait, who do you got?
I proposed this prompt and I don't have an answer still. There's nobody. When I was a kid, I was like, Martin Luther King Jr. Call it King.
I remember that. I remember that pitch.
But I don't need it. I don't need that. Again, sounds good. Good enough. That's close enough. Like a true biopic. I don't know because everything I keep thinking of is more like event, small
Daniel
portion.
Johnston?
No,
Same thing as Sid Barrett.
it's sadder. I don't know. Oh my God, you guys. Nothing came. I'm trying to think like old time inventors, trying to think like Plato, like Socrates. Like, what was your fucking days like?
Philosophers.
Yeah.
Philosophizers.
It sounds like wrong. Words are hard.
Yeah.
English is weird.
I really don't know. I'm a dummy. I didn't think ahead. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
You don't want a Michael Mann biopic?
No. Not at all.
Orson Welles?
No. I think Bob Dylan's an interesting one, but Guadagnino's about to do that, and I'm sure it's not going to be what I'd want. And Todd Haynes also did it perfectly by making a not standard biopic. He's just like, fuck it. What's the idea of the thing? It's like, fuck yeah. I don't know. I don't have an answer. Sorry. Broke the rules of the podcast.
Good job, Frank.
Well, I mean, I do want to see the making of Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know.
Will Toledo?
Is it no? Is it Kubi? Is it Kubrick? No, I don't think
It'd be
he would
too
be
elusive.
that interesting of a
Too
subject.
elusive.
Yeah,
Too elusive.
I
You
don't
need
know,
somebody with a
there's-
crazy life.
I like fictitious. I think you both did provide great answers, but
What about Buddy Holly? Somebody who died real young.
There
Somebody
are
who didn't. What
biopics.
about somebody?
River Phoenix.
That might not be a bad one.
now you're onto something. Actually, because his whole life is fucking weird and interesting. Like when they were living in a cult before he was an actor. Like, come on. Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
they were living in a cult. Not like, kind of like
walking
they
to
were
play him.
legit. No, he's way too
I'm
old.
being-
What?
I
For a
being-
second, I was like,
I was
you
being
genius.
funny. I was being funny.
What? No, he's way too old.
I did see, but I also don't want to disrespect River Phoenix.
Well, then don't. That's up to you, baby. You're
No,
making.
I'm not making it. I ain't touching that.
They were just
Give it to
part of a
Todd Haynes.
cult?
Let Todd Haynes make a River Phoenix biopic.
It'd be gorgeous.
How did they get out?
How did they what?
How
I
did
think
it?
you can usually just leave cults. It's just they just make you feel like you can't. That's most things. That's what control is you feel like you can't do anything, but you technically can. But it's a state of mind, you know.
Understood.
But yeah, I guess I'll go with that because I really don't know. I'm sorry that I didn't have an answer.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Go back inside. It's okay.
Bergman could be like interesting. No,
Would
never
it?
mind. I take it back. I literally take that back. I don't know.
Fellini would probably be fun, even though it's like we have those movies. He made them. Will Toledo.
No, you already said that. No,
I think I'm going to push for it.
Hendrix.
Would be interesting. Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
Or no, there is a Brian Jones biopic. See,
feel like it's
musician biopics are rough, and that's the same thing as Barrett. But I'm like, if there's something different about him, because it's like not a staple member of Pink Floyd, not somebody everybody knows about. He's somebody who created something that became so monumental off of his, pedestal that a lot of people don't even know who he is.
David Byrne.
No.
He's another one that I think you kind of need the mystique. And I think with Barrett, you can keep that by keeping the movie abstract, because that is what his headspace was like,
But that's, in a way, not a standard biopic.
No, it's not a standard biopic by any stretch.
Then I'm going to take Sean Fantasy's answer and stick with the making of Eyes Wide Shut. And it's somehow a biopic about Kubrick, Tom Cruise, and Nicole Kidman. And watching
Oh, man, a movie about their marriage?
Right, it is. It inevitably would be. It's like the meta, like making a movie, but also your real life, and also a biopic, but not at all.
God.
It's perfect. He'd said it on the pod. I was like, fucking, that's it. That's a movie I need yesterday.
That's pretty good.
I
It's
just
a
want to
book.
watch it. I wouldn't want to make it. I'd want to watch
Isn't
it.
there a book? There's a book.
There's a book, but it's not worth reading.
Okay. Have you read it?
Eyes Wide Open?
Is that about the making of Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes, it is, from the
Oh.
guy who co-wrote it with Stanley, and basically he's like, it was awful and not my idea at all. It's like, cool, shut up. Fucking
You would have made a
moron.
bad movie.
Exactly. So anyway, that's it. That's it.
That's that, mattress man.
That's that mentions me.
Are we going to talk about what we did last night? As a group of people in this
I
COVID
mean,
time
I
of
guess if you want
safety,
the world to know.
wearing masks.
So last night, after a couple of bottles of wine, we were sitting there thinking about the
No. The
Aviator
other thing we did last night.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Frank, Jesse, and myself, along with many of our accomplices,
7 other friends.
went to a little hip place called the Film Lab.
Yeah, I guess shout out to them.
I think we've shouted them out before.
Yeah, when you saw in the realm of the senses.
Yeah, 2 times. I think they're the theater I've attended most this year,
It's
inadvertently.
Yeah, the theater, my first theater experience in I don't know how long. Since Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yikes. And that was like episode 1.
Yeah.
I think since in the realm of the senses. Oh
No,
no.
Evil
We went
Dead.
to the drive-in.
Yeah. We went, they have outdoor seating now. It's patio seating. You can't have more than 4 people at a table. And we had a lot of tables of 2s. And we were just spread out, and they serve you drinks and food, and we got to watch a little classic flick last night.
Called North by Northwest, which is an Alfred Hitchcock movie. They also served a variation on Hitchcock's favorite drink.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
It was delicious.
I had 2 of them.
Tasty.
I only had 1, and then I switched to a G&T.
I mean, it's a classic move.
I was like,
I
I'm
sw-
getting way too drunk, and I gotta drive.
I got a warm and Coke after.
Nice.
It was a good drink, though, and a good movie.
It was a delicious drink. Great movie. I've always said that North by Northwest is one of the more like fun, entertaining, blockbuster type movies that if you were going to show somebody like what's a movie like supposed to be, it's like, well, this pretty much has everything you want in a movie. Like,
Honestly, I can't dispute that. Even
whether or not you
remotely.
like it is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I think I saw it once before, probably like 8 to 10 years ago. And I thought it was good. I was a little lukewarm on it. I never understood what the hubbub was about, and I did not love it last night. But I think it was definitely better than I had remembered, and I actually think the famous crop dusting scene is one of the only flaws of the movie. But we don't have to dive deep into that. I was shocked at how thoroughly plotted and logical most of the movie was, and still retaining fun and still retaining like a good energy.
Yeah.
Logical to the world it was creating, like staying within the lines, and to accept the exceptions being pretty much Mount Rushmore and the crop duster, which are the 2 most famous parts of the movie.
And I'm pretty sure the
It's
whole
okay, we'll
basis
just-
was to get them to Mount Rushmore, and they had to create a whole movie to get them there or something like that.
Which is impressive and insane, and like you can't deny it.
Yeah.
Like you can't deny what the movie's doing and that it does it well.
Yeah.
It just comes down to like, did I enjoy it or not?
Hot off the heels of Vertigo? What the
I like it
fuck?
more than Vertigo.
I mean, I believe that.
I don't like it more than
And-
Psycho.
Well, that to
Which
think
it's-
that that's
it's
his
sandwiched
run,
between those
that's
2, right?
It's the run. Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho,
What's
The
before Vertigo?
Birds. I think The Wrong Man.
Damn. Because Rear Window's still by far my favorite.
Yeah, I know it is.
How much Hitchcock have you experienced, Brandito?
I want to say that's might have been my first.
I'm pretty sure it is his
You
first
never seen
Hitchcock.
Psycho? I thought you had.
No, I
No,
just
Bates
yeah.
Motel.
No,
Just Disturbia, no Rear Window.
I have seen Disturbia and I do like it.
I think you would
Um,
like Rear Window more than this, probably.
But I will say,
It slaps.
the movie last night, it was cool. I think it wasn't like, I don't know, like terrible or like great. To me, it felt very in the middle. I think I'm glad.
You also slept through like an hour of it.
did?
I'm glad it didn't feel it didn't feel like him.
I mean, sometimes I can't tell when your eyes are open or closed, but anytime I'd look back, your eyes were mostly closed.
I mean, I didn't feel like when I look back on it, everything that I remember, I'm like, yeah, that's the movie.
You son of a bitch.
Like, I don't know. Doesn't feel like I missed like something where I was like, well, now I'm confused. Because I was able to retain everything. The ending made sense. But, I don't know. Didn't do much for me. I think I'm glad that the first, like, old-timey movie that you guys showed me was His Girl Friday. Because almost everyone after that has just, like, not been as great. It's just been like, this is fine.
So
I
you
don't
like
really-
the madcap energy. You need high
Yeah.
energy.
I guess, or I think that those sort of tropes and those
Or
sort of
comedy.
like things. I think comedies probably are the way to go.
But those
because
also date very quickly.
I mean, it's all dated, like all of it.
I know.
I don't know, like a
comedy
single
dates
movie.
The fastest.
I mean, you're right. You make fun of things. I don't know. It's just like I feel like they all feel sort of monotonous to me, and the way that like the characters act and the way that the sort of stories play out in terms of like their conclusions and things. So this one didn't really knock me out of the park, but it was fun enough. It was cool.
The most tired take I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know what that means. Like I'm tired, or like that take is
The
tired.
take is tired.
Does that mean that the take is like
Old movies are monotonous because they're old.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I think it's valid.
It's valid. It's
that
just tired.
the movie felt longer than Aviator to me, like by far.
It's not a fast-paced movie by any stretch.
I was certain I had the memory that the crop duster scene happened halfway through the movie, which it like does. And when we were watching it, and it appeared it's about halfway.
It's over. It's
Barely
halfway.
over. Barely over.
We
Like-
were like way over an hour in, like by the time we got to the crop duster scene, from what I remember yesterday.
You're talking about the scene where the plane tries to shoot him in the field, right?
Yes.
But I was like, oh, this has to be near the end when it came up. I was like, it has to literally be like close to the ending than I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, there's still so many things. And then it went intermission. And I was like, I might lose my mind. I thought we were almost done. I thought we were wrapping this bitch up. But then it comes back real strong right out of that. And it gets me reinvested. But then it deflates again at Mount Rushmore. I think it's like a 4 out of 5.
It's the set
it's-
pieces that
it's-
take it down for you.
Yeah,
Ironically.
weirdly, I think that's when it feels the most disingenuous, like trying to be a movie that's pleasing to an audience,
Well,
which is literally what it was.
I think it's one of Hitchcock's better attempts at the romantic like chemistry.
100%. Those
Uh,
scenes popped.
I think I still stand by it. I know you refuse to believe it, but I think Notorious is going to be your Hitchcock. I really do.
I don't refuse to believe that.
Last time I talked about it, you
I
were
was
like,
just like, I don't want to watch any Hitchcock movies.
I mean, fair.
that's
but
the reason, but here I am.
Notorious is going to
It's
be
happened.
the one to do it. Ingrid Bergman, Cary Grant, and Claw Rains.
I've long wanted to watch that.
And
And I
it's
really
shorter.
want to see Rope.
It's not long. Rope is pretty good too.
I want to see Rope. Rope's a good play.
Rope is a wild movie, but it's also a bit like I remember thinking the last time I watched that they should remake that movie on Sunny with
You've
all
talked about that.
with
That
all
would
the
be
cast
awesome.
playing all the different
Frank's
parts.
dead.
Yeah,
Or the gang kills Frank or
Yeah.
whatever.
something like that.
Or Dennis and Mac
Yeah.
kill Frank.
Yes, and then it's called something that ties.
And
into
Charlie's the
Charlie's
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Yes, he's the detective.
Perfect. Literally made for it. It's just make that the last episode.
Yeah.
Frank's dead,
I know.
and it's like a movie.
I'll pitch it. Rob,
Glenn, when you guys are done,
when you guys are done, when
Just
it's
do
over.
this.
Still going. Keep it going. I
Yeah,
don't
fuck
care
it.
if it all feels like it's a little tired at this point. You know, it's fine.
North
I'd rather
Bend-
that be the show that's on.
I agree. North by Northwest, an airplane movie, but doesn't help the plane argument. So definitely sits at number
is he
4.
on a plane ever?
No, he's about
No.
to,
He's about to board a plane, but he doesn't.
Yeah. but there's a lot of plane stuff still.
Yeah. The train stuff is all real good.
It is good. Pro train, con plane, Aviator. Great. This is the Chronic Canon.
Hey.
Anybody else got anything? I'm Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon, and the Chronic Canon is the way to the future.
The way of the future.
The way to the future.
The way of the future.